Detroit has come from behind, a 4-goal deficit to a 4-4 tie. Kyrou turns it over inside the blue line. Kopp to the far wing. Pass coming back to Kopp, slides through to Comper on the near side. Looking up to the blue line, shoots and scores! Edmondson sneaks one in from the blue line. Detroit has taken the lead. The puck gets cleared out towards the empty net, and Detroit scores. An empty net goal to make it 6-4. A 4-0 lead for the Blues through the first 23 minutes of this game. 6 unanswered goals, counting an empty netter by Detroit. And the Blues lose here in Little Caesars Arena by a score of 6-4.
True or false? That was the worst loss that we've seen so far for the Blues.
Oh, yeah.
True.
I think I'd have to say true, but let me tell you, 8 goals against Chicago is not fun.
No, I hear you. You're right.
Being done 8 minutes into a hockey game also is not fun. A natural hat trick is not fun, but yeah, coughing up 6 goals in about, 21 minutes? Also not fun, turns out.
I think that was the worst. You're up 4-0. You have every expectation that you win that.
In honor of
game.
TLR, tied for first.
Okay.
A 3-way tie for first right now by the Blues.
Touche.
A lot of fun.
It's not going well for the St. Louis Blues. You have now lost 4 of your last 5 games.
That's fine.
You've done so against Chicago, LA, Utah, and Detroit. So, yeah, not ideal, Alex. I'm going to open this thing up for you, that audio courtesy of...
Can I delegate and just...
I'll take it.
Hand over
I'll
to
take
T-Bone.
101 ESPN, Chris Kerber on the call over the weekend. If you missed it, Blues went up 4-0 and lost 6-4 on the road against Detroit. What's happening with this team? What is going on?
Honestly, what's going on? Your goaltending has been bad, and you're getting some bad breaks. And everybody cue the whole...
So they're just unlucky. Okay,
cue
cool.
the whole Homer take. Ferrario's paid by the Blues.
Hold him accountable.
You know
He's
what?
not. He's not.
I'm not. Believe me. My family will tell you that we're not. That game was awful. And what happened in that game was the Blues stopped playing. The Blues stopped playing in the third period because they could feel the snowball coming. We talked about this last week. Go back through the losses that have gotten out of hand. Minnesota, Chicago, Utah, that game against Detroit. You know what happens when it's a 1-goal deficit or a 2-goal deficit? Another goal goes in about 30 seconds later. And then you know what happens after that? All hell breaks loose. Chaos happens. And in the game against Detroit, that was the case. The Blues stopped playing the puck management game that Jim Montgomery likes to talk about. They basically were just looking for those pads. They were on their heels trying to get the puck out of the zone, saying, we don't want to play defense, just put it out of there and make Detroit come back in. The problem was it was way too easy for Detroit to enter the zone. But if I'm being blunt about it, you've gotten bad goaltending. You haven't gotten the saves that you need to. What?
You're actually saying
it's all in Joe Hofer probably, right? Not Jordan Bennington.
Who was in net yesterday?
Benner has played in 6 of the first 8 games, 7 of the first 8 games.
Also, well, but not,
we also have to include him in the conversation.
Not his part, but I mean, look, yes, he has to play in all these games because Joe Hofer has struggled. That's a problem for the Blues. Jordan Bennington is a guy that has been talked about by David Alexander, by many others that say, hey, he's at his best when he's rested. And you've played every single freaking hockey game since the Calgary Flames. Do you remember when the Calgary Flames game was, T-Bone?
No.
It was the second game of the season.
More than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's played every single game. So it's explainable why Jordan Bennington hasn't looked good, but both goaltenders, like if you look at any analytics, whether it's JFresh or MoneyPuck.com, Natural Stat Trick, the expected goals for and expected goals against, the Blues are top 10 in every category you can ask for.
Top 5 in some.
Which means they're creating offense. They're not giving up high danger scoring chances in the slot. You know what they're doing? They're giving up low danger scoring chances that are resulting in goals. So it's not always on the goaltender. This is where the puck luck comes into it. I mean, look, when the puck's bouncing off of Justin Falk's skate behind the net and it goes in front of the net for Emmett Finney and just smacks it in, that's some ish puck luck. But your goalies haven't been making the stops for you, and when one goes in, the snowball effect comes to your roster.
Yeah, I'm sure that when Jamie comes on here later on today, he'll talk about how stupid that I am for even looking at these numbers, and that's fine.
Are these facts?
Well, it is facts, but it's facts that some people don't like, which is expected goals.
Expected facts.
Yeah. So if you look at the expected goals against, Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer are two of the 4 worst goalies in the NHL so far this season. Now, you can take that or leave it. I understand that it is not a perfect statistic, and I'm not trying to suggest that it is, but it is one indicator on how your goaltending has performed. And so far this year, at least according to that number, the Blues goaltending hasn't been good enough. It has not been up to par. I would say the eye test for me matches that. Joel Hofer has definitely not been good enough this season. And I would say Jordan Binnington looks as though he's played in 7 of your 8 games. I'm not blaming him for these losses. It's on everybody. You're up 4-0. It is a full team effort to lose that game 6-4. It takes everybody failing in spectacular fashion, and a Robert Thomas injury to lead to that as well. So
yeah, that wasn't fun.
It wasn't good enough. Fowler and Parayko multiple times were on the ice, seemingly just looking around like, "Hey, what's going on, boys? Oh, you don't got him? Me either." It's like, what? The guy is there. He is in the back door. That is where you don't want to give up opportunities. And it happened not once, but twice to get back into that one. Fowler got pushed out of the net once on these as well. Like, it just was not a good game by the Blues. But that does not absolve the goalie from not performing. And in that game, wasn't good enough by Benner. In too many games this year, you haven't had the goaltending come up with the big save in the big moment to get that momentum back on your side. And the Blues need that. We've seen this for years now. When they get that big save, it changes everything. And so far this year, they're not getting
expected goals against, according to MoneyPuck.com. They're the 3rd best team in the National Hockey League. Better than Vegas, better than Carolina, better than Columbus, Dallas, Florida. Expected goals, they're the 4th best team in the National Hockey League. Like, all of the numbers are telling you that what they're doing is actually really good. It's just the one breakdown that happens turns into like, wait, what just happened? And then game over.
It's like they give up a pick 6 every game, basically.
Yeah.
Like, if you're an NFL team and every game you're giving up a pick 6, it doesn't matter how good your offense is. That is way too much to overcome for most teams.
And it feels like a pick 6 where, like, doinked off the receiver's hands and fell into a linebacker.
Well, and like, just if you go through each individual game, Minnesota, the game was a 1-goal deficit. And what happens? That odd bounce that goes off of a skate and into the net, then it turns into a 5-goal deficit. The Utah Mammoth game, like, you're right there. And then all of a sudden, 2 goals go in about 27 seconds. Boom, game over. It's a little adversity that the Blues can't handle, but it's also not getting the proper save when they need to.
Do you feel good about them moving forward?
Yeah.
Because this is like, we can evaluate what we've seen and then also project where we think this is going. Well, you are currently in last place in the division, but you've played 8 games. Like, it's not a huge deal. How worried are you about this being something that is just, they're not going to be able to overcome this?
Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 2, 3, like, there's still a little concern about not handling the adversity well. But I also think it is unfair to sit here and act that 8 games into the season, because one area that we know is always a consistent rock for the Blues has been the worst in the National Hockey League. That, to me, will get fixed. The offensive slow pace that guys like Holloway or Buchnevich or Robert Thomas have had, those are going to get fixed. Systematically, it feels like the Blues are fine. It's just one breakdown that falls apart for the Blues. So that's the concern, if I have any, that adversity strikes and the Blues don't know how to handle it. But you're 3 weeks into the season. That's all going to get fixed at some point. Yeah, it sucks to get slapped in the mouth like this early on, but you'd rather get it happening now to you than start off hot and then in the middle of February when you need a push, then this adversity strikes. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about it at all. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot at some point. They just got to right their wrongs right now on the ice and rather happen to them early.
I'm a little concerned about it.
I'm at like a 5. Where are you?
5. That feels about right. I'm not panicked. I'm not ready to say, like, the season is over or anything. But, Alex, you said that the thing you can typically count on is the goaltending. I think that when things have gone awry for the Blues, it has, in part, been the goaltending. It's that you have to lean too much on Jordan Binnington. He wears down. Your backup goalie isn't up to snuff, and now you've got an issue. And I think over the years, it's been the bellwether for the Blues over the last 7 years now. When Binnington performs well, the Blues are a pretty good team. When Binnington is not performing well, the Blues aren't the team that we expect them to be. That's not all on him. it is also a reflection of what's going on in front of him. And this year, the defense has not been good enough, and also Binnington/Hofer haven't been good enough. It's an and conversation for me, not an or conversation. We don't have to blame one or the other. It can be both. And right now, you don't have 6 defensemen you can play capably. You have 4 that you're really comfortable with. And then occasionally you've got another with Tyler Tucker that they're okay with. Saturday, that was not the case for the Blues. They didn't want to put him on the ice, apparently, because he played like 9 minutes. So it's that. It's the lack of depth with your forward group right now. It's everything. It's turnovers in your own end. It's icing the puck every 7 seconds. It's bad goals going in, and it's bad puck luck. So when you add all of this up, I'm a little concerned about it. I'm not panicked, but is this a team that's going to be able to battle back and get back into playoff contention this year? My honest to God answer right now is I don't know. I'm not sure. I need to see a little bit more to believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, look, watching them give up 6 goals, like I can't sit here and act that they had unlucky bounces and that's why 6 straight goals went in. I'm going to be honest. But I also can understand when things just aren't connecting right on the ice. And it's just something that I simply don't believe is going to be there all season long. If it is, then yeah, this team's got a problem and they're going to have to address it in terms of the front office figuring out what they have in their pieces. But we do this all the time at some points of the season to where you see an individual that's not performing well and say, well, this guy sucks. He's not a core piece of the team. Move on from him. And then that guy ends up the season with 30-plus goals and 70 points. So if we're going to be talking about the goaltending being a problem for the team, then my concern level is at a 1 because goaltending will be fine. But there are other problems in front of the goaltender that I just don't know. I mean, it's going to sound like an excuse. I promise it's not. They're also a younger team that these things happen. So I think there's a lot of elements that Jim Montgomery is surprised by, and the Blues just have to get slapped in the mouth a little bit.
And I say at 5, and I agree with BK on the goaltending front, more because of I think goaltenders are more like relievers than we want to give them credit for. They fluctuate a lot. There's very few that are the elite of the elite that perform well in the regular season, like a Hellebuck, like a Shesterkin. Now, those guys collapse in the postseason because they don't get enough time off, like we've been talking about for Binnington. But it does kind of fluctuate a lot for goaltenders. It's possible that this is just a year from hell for Joel Hofer. If it's possible that Binnington's more of the guy that had the .897 save percentage a couple of years ago. And if that's the case, I agree with BK. Then it doesn't matter what we're talking about with their structure. They're not going to be the team that we thought coming into the year. I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to give them about 10 more games to kind of figure out where we're at. But that's why my spidey senses are going a little bit, and I'm more on the 5 out of a 10 scale.
You want to know when I start to go up higher? When you get to Thanksgiving. When you get to Thanksgiving, everybody's talked about it. If you're below 500 by Thanksgiving, then we've got a problem.
That's what, probably about 10 games?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. November's loaded up, so probably like 10 to 12.
Yeah, and to me, it's both about the record, but it's also about how they're playing. I just want to see improvements in how they're playing. It's less so about, like, if you lose a game 3-2, but it's a well-played game and you went up against, Edmonton or something, like, I can live with that. It's some of these losses, the way that they're playing, that bothers me far more than the end result. And I know that might sound strange, but, man, they're getting beat. Yeah. Not just with the score, but overall, they're just not playing well enough. So that's something that's got to change. Back in action again tonight. Alex will have your pregame coverage for the Blues versus the Pittsburgh Penguins right here on 101 ESPN starting at 5 o'clock. The expectation is Joel Hofer will be in net for that one, awaiting any kind of update on whether or not they're going to have Thomas and or Jake Neighbors for this game. With Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. Mike Kelly of Fanduel Sports Midwest is going to join us coming up at 12 o'clock. He was part of the pre-post and intermission stuff for Fanduel the other day. He's going to give us a little bit of insight into why the Blues' expected numbers aren't matching up with their real numbers right now. Mike Kelly, NHL analyst, joins us coming up at 12 o'clock. But next, speaking of a disaster, Mizzou's loss at Vandy was simultaneously excruciating and something that almost didn't even register for me. I'll explain what I mean by that coming up next year on 101 ESPN.
has led the charge. Pavia keeps it. Pavia leaps. He scores. Touchdown Vanderbilt. At the goal line. Is it caught? No, incomplete. That'll end the game.
Previous plays under further review.
The problem is if the clock went to all zeros, even if they ruled this a completed pass, that ball's short of the goal line.
The reality of it is, like I told them in there, we're probably not playing for the conference championship now with 2 losses, but we're darn sure playing for the playoffs. And so, it becomes a one-game season week in, week out. We've already accomplished one of our goals, which was to qualify for a bowl game. And so now it's free football to see what kind of opportunity we have next.
Bowl bound, baby! Let's go!
Wait, hold on a minute. I was told bowl games don't matter anymore.
They don't.
They don't.
Oh, okay, cool. Woo! Let's go!
We accomplished a meeting. Let's go.
You're darn sure they're going to go for it.
That's what it sounded like on ESPN as Missouri loses 17-10 Saturday.
Now tell me what it
against
sounded
Vandy.
like on Saturday in the Kiley household.
Dude, I had such a weird day watching that game. It was so strange because in the first half, I was like, you know that meme of, I think it was like Alonzo Mourning who's sitting on the bench and you see him, he's like, and then he oh, okay. That's how I was in the first half because the defense was exceptional. You couldn't have asked for anything more. Diego Pavia had a whole lot of nothing in that game. And then they come out in the second half and they get that interception right away. And you're like, all right, this is maybe where you're able to do a little something. You don't have to go far. You get the ball at the 20-yard line. Let's take advantage of the short field. And then all hell broke loose. They get down to the 3-yard line. They run it on second and goal with Ahmad Hardy. He gets nothing. So they're at the 2-yard line. It's 3rd and goal. And they run this stupid pass, and I don't even know what they were trying to do with it. They should have ran the ball with Ahmad Hardy. He's 220 pounds. He leads the SEC in rushing. Just freaking run the football there. But they don't. And so now you've got 4th and goal, which I was glad that they went for it, Alex. I thought it was the right choice. It's a tie game, 3-3. You're at the 2-yard line. Let's go. Let's punch this thing in.
Yeah, until I saw the play.
And then they run it with Bro Perbula. I know everybody hated the play, including you, Alex. I had no issues with the play call. It's worked for them a million times over the last few years. It was their go-to play with Brady Cook. It's been their go-to play with Bo Perbula. It didn't work. It didn't work. And he ends up not only getting stuffed at the 1-yard line, but also gets hurt. And so now you're tied at 3, your starting quarterback's out of the game, and it's like, all right, well, there you go. Not only is that the game, that's the season, but then you force a punt. And the next drive, man, Matt Zollers looked good. And I was like, okay, this is impressive, but then they missed the field goal because their kicker's hurt as well because he failed to make a tackle on a meaningless kickoff in the first game of the bleeping season.
Had to stop Central Arkansas.
And so you miss this field goal. It's flush with the upright. And then the next play, there's a clear hold, and Vandy goes 80 freaking yards with a touchdown. It's like, oh, well, there's the game. It's over. And then your freshman quarterback leads a 12-play, 75-yard, 6-minute drive. It's like, we're back in this thing, baby. I think we might have a quarterback here. Then you force a 3-and-out. And then the next drive, Zollers gives the football to the other team.
Literally handed it to him.
On a handoff.
That was fun.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
No, that doesn't happen.
It was basically a recreation of what happened against Georgia a couple of years ago where Mizzou, Brady Cook just throws the ball to the defender because he freaks out and glitches.
I think this one's worse, though. You handed it to him. You literally said, take this. I don't want it.
Yeah. No, that's true.
At least Brady could be like, I was trying to go over him.
And then Vandy with the touchdown drive, and ultimately you get the ball back. There's like a minute and a half left in the game. But Vandy's drive, I should mention, the worst case scenario happens. They get stopped at the 1-yard line and get to drain another minute off the clock. So then you get it back. You got less than 2 minutes to go. You got to go 75 yards with your backup third string true freshman quarterback who has to drive the full distance of the field, throws a Hail Mary, and he gets caught at the half-yard line, and you lose the game because you're a half-yard short.
You sound like me in the third period on Saturday.
I wouldn't have trusted your
So,
kicker for
Alex, I had
PAT.
no emotional connection to this game.
I could tell, obviously.
But
Don't kid yourself.
also, I'm freaking out because they have a championship caliber defense who held the guy that might win the bleeping Heisman to nothing. He did nothing on Saturday, Pavia. I hear you post game talking about how you deserve the Heisman because you guys are awesome. You're 7-1. Your ass got kicked on Saturday.
Whoa, well,
You
not
did
really.
nothing
Mizzou didn't
against
even
Missouri's
cover.
defense.
True.
But it didn't matter because they lost. And ultimately, the season's probably over, and you've got a true freshman quarterback playing the rest of the way, and you're off this week, and then you go up against a top 5 team in the country against Texas A&M, and then one of the best defenses in the country against Oklahoma on the road. And so I'm sad, and my coach might leave, and so I'm broken. I'm broken, and I don't know what to do with any of this, Alex. So that was my 5-minute diatribe on the Mizzou game on Saturday. How did you feel watching it, Alex?
I don't have much to add to that, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't have as much emotional connection to it as you did, but it's a real downer of how that game went because you do have, in my opinion, an elite defense that is championship caliber. And this might be one of those seasons you look back on and you'd be like, hey, remember 2025 when Mizzou could have been something special? But I thought Zollers actually opened up a little bit more offense opportunities for Mizzou because he can actually throw the ball in the pocket and doesn't panic like Bo Pribula.
They got better when he went into the game.
I think the more that game went on, you could see the comfort level for him, and I'm going to be very curious of what it looks like the next time they suit up. But the injury was brutal because it felt like this could be a massive season for Mizzou. But, man, my frustration was really built on there's just no creativity with this offensive play calling. And I don't know if this has anything to do with Pribula not being able to be a really strong passer, and so they try and do these screen passes or they try and run the ball, which makes sense when you have Ahmad Hardy. But I know it didn't bother you as much. I know it made sense. That fourth down call pissed me off. Okay. To the same sense that fake punt did, to where you decided to fake punt it and you ran the football. Why are we running the football on fourth down? You just tried to do it 3 times with a screen pass, and it didn't work. There's no creativity in that playbook on offense when you've got actually some special receivers.
I would have preferred fewer creative plays. I just get every big man that you have onto the football field. Run him on Hardy on third down.
Sure.
Run him on Hardy on. I know that they did it on first and second down. Well, the first down play got you 7 yards. That's how you ended up at the 3. You got stuffed on second down. So be it. Do it 2 more times. Make them stop you not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times with the best running back in the country. Make their linebackers meet him in the hole and put him into the ground. And if they can do that 4 straight times, tip your cap and say good on you.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. Instead, they said, we're going to get creative here. We're going to get cute here. We're going to throw a pass to Brett Norfleet, who, by the way, also got hurt in this game. So they had a redshirt freshman tight end who caught a huge touchdown for them, Jude James of my neck of the woods, Alex, out in St. Charles. So kudos to him. Kudos to Zollers for coming up big. But I get it. I understand anybody that's criticizing that fourth down play. I thought it was fine. My real problem came with that 3rd and goal play because it led to the 4th and goal play. If you run it on 3rd and goal with Ahmad Hardy, you either potentially score there or you at least get a yard and you're like inches closer. So it opens up more for you at that point in time. So that was, to me, the original sin. Kind of like Alex on that 4th down play, like that punt, that fake punt. I hated it. If you're going to go for it there, just go for it with your offense. Just trust it. I remember in that Bama game, the other play that I really hated was it was like first down coming off of the interception, and they throw it there, and it set them behind the sticks when the running game had been working, and it led to ultimately what we know, which is Hardy barely touched the ball in the second half against Alabama because of how rarely they had the football. So it's one of those things where I don't think that Kirby Moore has been as bad this year as some of the critics would suggest, but it's the Jordan Bennington problem, or really like the goaltending problem that we talk about. There are just these critical play calls where it's baffling some of the decisions that they're making.
Yeah, it's a screen pass or the quarterback's going to run it. There's no look downfield.
I just want them to run the football. You have the best running back in the country, dude.
But at some point, you got to make a play, and it can't be a screen pass.
Sure.
Why make a play when I can just keep it simple, stupid?
Exactly.
And hand
You're
the ball
at the
to Hardy.
2-yard line. It's 3rd and goal. You have the best running back in the country. Put it in his hands, man. Think players, not plays. How do I punch this thing in? What is my best chance to do so? It's with my All-American running back. That's my best chance. So just go run it. Hey, bring this home, Hardy. Let's go see if you can win this football game for us. And they took the ball out of his hand and put it into the hands of a quarterback that was clearly struggling on the day. So I disagreed with the decision on 3rd and on 4th down, but whatever. Ultimately, they lost the game. And so now you're 6-2. The playoff is, basically,
what was it, a 16% chance they said if Mizzou loses?
Yeah.
So you're talking about less than 20% chance.
Yeah, and I would say even lower. Like,
Yeah. You're not winning out.
I don't think this team is beating Texas A&M as currently constructed.
If anything, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, if anything, there's a little bit more possibilities now with you having Ahmad Hardy already, but now you've got a quarterback that's not as uncomfortable in terms of throwing the ball downfield. We saw it there towards the end of that game against Vanderbilt, but you're going up against 2 elite defenses in the next couple of weeks, so life's going to be hell for Zollers. The hard part with this game is you did everything right. You possessed the football. You were elite defensively. Pavia was non-existent in that football game, and a couple of poor decisions and an injury is what led you to this position.
I'll just go ahead and read some of this off for you real quick. I went through the close calls in this game.
I feel like we need Sarah McLachlan music right now.
Second quarter, 2nd and 8 from the Vandy 36, 20-yard run by Bo Prabula, except there's a tripping call on their left guard.
Well,
they end up, instead of having 1st and goal from the 1-yard line, they eventually kick a field goal. 2nd and 4, second quarter at the Vandy 35-yard line. 5-yard run by Bo Prabula. Get you a 1st down, except that there's a holding on Caden Green 2 plays later, instead of them having a 1st and 10 at the Vandy 30-yard line, which probably leads to points. They punt 2 plays later and end up not scoring. 3rd and goal, 2-yard line, as we just mentioned. They decided to throw, get stuffed on the 4th and goal from the 2. Their quarterback goes down for probably the season. There's that. 3rd quarter, the next drive, they kick a field goal, it hits an upright. 4th quarter, there's a fumble at the mesh point. They have the ball at midfield, driving to potentially score again. Their freshman quarterback, I guess, forgets to hold on to the football. Whatever happened there, Vandy ends up scoring the game winner 9 plays later. It's just like so many plays. And then the Hail Mary, which was ultimately half a yard short. So many plays were inches away from not only you winning this game, but like running away with this game potentially. You were the better team on Saturday for, 55 minutes. 80-yard touchdown run where there was a hold, but whatever. It is what it is. An 80-yard touchdown run. A mesh point.
He's a Chiefs fan. He does
fumble. A missed kick. A half-yard on a Hail Mary. And a quarterback getting stuffed at the 1-yard line and breaking his leg.
You know what I call that? I call that karma. You shouldn't have won against Auburn.
Oh, dude, that was a tough one. Yeah, when I said like I didn't feel anything on Saturday, I don't think that was true.
I think you were lying. Yeah.
I think this whole segment, which included about 11 minutes of BK going on an emotional rant.
An hour prior to the show, and he kept talking in the office like I didn't feel anything. He didn't go on this big rant, and then now I hear this rant and go, no, you really felt something.
The funny thing is I felt less in the moment than I do now. Now that I'm actually reliving it, I'm like, you should have won the game.
Reminds you of the Alabama game, doesn't it?
Oh, God.
Except they were a better team in this one. Yeah, you take Luke Altmaier and put him on Mizzou. They're a championship caliber football team. Because really the one position that they are lacking, the O-line's got some question marks, and the secondary's got some question marks, but you could probably overcome those as they've been doing this year. Really the spot that you could tell was a big difference, and we'll see if Zollers can continue to play like he did. I'm a little skeptical because Vandy just didn't prepare for him.
Especially with Ole Miss coming down his throat in the next couple of weeks.
It's the fact that they don't have a quarterback they could trust to throw the ball through the air in Pavia. In Prabula. Prabula, you couldn't trust him to go through the air. I mean, looking at his numbers when he was in the game for them, he was terrible for them. His numbers in that game, he was 9 of 14, 68 yards, had a 17.6 QBR rating. He just he didn't make the plays for it. It was the one thing that I said going into the game, and I hope that he's able to recover and get back to being himself.
No doubt.
Because he suffered such a bad injury. But he doesn't lift the ceiling on the football team.
Can I give one point of caution on the Zoller stuff? I thought he was great in this game. Like, you couldn't have asked for anything more. He was clearly better than Prebula was. Like, clearly better. And we'll get into the Noot news coming up here in just a minute. Freshman quarterbacks generally are terrible. I remember I was covering the Mizzou team locally at the time. I was working for KTGR, which is the local ESPN affiliate in Columbia, in 2015, I guess it would have been, when Drew Lock came into a game, got his first start against, I think it was South Carolina. It was amazing. I think they won that game like 24-10. Was awesome in that game. And then they didn't score a touchdown for the next month. That was Drew Lock as a true freshman. He went on to set all of the passing records for Mizzou. He was a great quarterback in his time at Mizzou. He was horrible, truly horrific as a true freshman after they got one game of film on him. So I hope that Zollers just goes on to become an All-American and is amazing the rest of the way, wins every game. They end up going to the college football playoff, and Zollers is the reason why. I would love, trust me, nothing more than to see it. But I will caution people from getting way too far out over your skis. The overwhelming likelihood is he's going to look bad against Texas A&M. And don't blame him for that. That is the case for almost every true freshman quarterback in recent memory that starts football games. He's not supposed to be starting for Mizzou right now. He's not supposed to be playing for Mizzou right now. He's supposed to be redshirting this year. That's now out the window, and that's fine. Like, he may ultimately be great, and he goes to the league in 3 years. That's awesome. But I've seen so many people that are getting overly, in my opinion, excited about what Zollers already is. I'm excited about what Zollers can be. I am very nervous about what Matt Zollers is going to be right now. So that is my one word of advice, word of caution for Mizzou fans as we're getting a little out over our skis on what Zollers is going to be against Texas A&M, which is a legit, in my opinion, top 5 team in the country.
I liked it better when you're depressed earlier. Now you're just trying to bring everybody down.
Sorry,
No,
guys.
this is the state of it. You have to deal with the depression.
Yeah,
and
but
then
you don't want to pass it around to everybody.
Yeah, you do. You got to pull people
We were
down with
here-
you, man.
We were here to console them, and now I'm like,
No, what do you
get
think?
away.
What do you think this is? Us
This guy's
living
like
in our
trying
own.
to warn me that Zollers isn't the next Tom Brady. Like, what the bleep is that?
Do you think this is just you suffer and sulk in your own demise? No, you bring people along into this pain.
All right, T-Bone, we're going to go ahead and double break here because I went too long talking about Mizzou football.
This is even worse.
Over a game that actually he had no feelings over.
Yeah. We'll talk about Lars Newbar coming up later on today in the show. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service
gotta
text
figure all
line.
this
Coming
stuff
up
out over
next,
here.
questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Ted Drew's famous frozen custard off of Chippewa, open daily, and has been around. It's been a St. Louis tradition. It's been a Ferrario tradition for a long time, but a St. Louis tradition since 1929. And I know you're hearing this right now thinking, it's like, Alex, it's been rainy out, it's cold out. That doesn't take away from the deliciousness. Yes, I said deliciousness. It's a word of that famous frozen custard. Whatever flavor you're looking for, whatever mix and match you want to go with, it is always great to be at Ted Drew's famous frozen custard. There you see the consistency, you see the tradition. It's been a family-owned and operated business, and I'll give you a little secret, a pro tip. You could buy it in bulk and bring it home with you and put it in the freezer and save it for all of the holiday celebrations that we're going to be having very soon. They've got specialty flavors like the Great Pumpkin, the Blue Note. Maybe BK would like to feel a little bit better and get the Mizzou. All of those for you over at Ted Drew's. While you're there, walk across the parking lot, check out the gift shop, the historical museum they have, where you can see a ton of Ted Drew's apparel, Ted Drew's souvenirs, Ted Drew's memorabilia, and buy some Ted Drew's gift cards. It's a perfect stocking stuffer once we get to those holiday seasons. Ted Drew's been around for 96 years, 4 generations, family serving St. Louisans that famous frozen custard, unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues fell to the Red Wings over the weekend after blowing a 4-goal lead. As they fell 6-4, they'll be back in action tonight as they visit the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, pregame coverage tonight starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now. Alex, you have some news for us on the Blues front?
Yeah, no Robert Thomas, no Jake Neighbors in the game tonight. Both are labeled day-to-day, according to Jim Montgomery, which means Texier goes back into the lineup and Alexei Toropchenko will be in the lineup.
Torpo back.
Torpo makes his season debut for the Blues.
All right.
So, but no Thomas and no Neighbors, both day-to-day, which I would say for both of them is good news, considering I know there's been a lot of people saying, like, what happened to Robert Thomas? I've gone back and watched the highlights. I've talked to JR, who's gone back and watched the game. And it was one of those things you never really saw something happen. The same shift that Jake Neighbors got injured in, it looked like Thomas and DeBrincat were in kind of a one-on-one battle. So maybe it was that. But the fact that he and Neighbors are only day-to-day, good sign for the Blues.
God, what the hell are these lines going to be?
So let me see if I can predict this for everybody. So my guess is Shen moves to your top line.
I think you just make the Shin line your top line now because two of
with Holloway and Kyrou. Yeah, because because then you'll probably keep Booch with Suter and I guess is Snuggerud, and then Joseph will be with Bukestad and probably Texier, and then your fourth line will be Sundqvist, Walker, and Toropchenko. That would be my guess.
Okay.
And he never really said anything on defense. My expectation is it's going to be Kessel, and if Mayu gets in, it'll probably be on the home game because it's a back-to-back with them playing tomorrow.
All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from the 636. Guys, did T-Bone have any emotions on Saturday as his team was eliminated from the playoffs as well?
They've been eliminated since that Indiana spanking.
You know what's funny? It did hurt, but it didn't hurt as bad as I was expecting. Mostly because I felt like I could see it coming. Especially after like the second drive or first drive of the game. I was like, all right, so we're clearly not going to stop Washington today. Are we going to be able to like do the same thing? And the answer was no. Altmaier turned the ball over twice. It stinks because the season's officially a failure, like it was last year for the Missouri Tigers, and that was a failure that they didn't make it to the college football playoff.
Okay.
We'll rebound. We'll hit the portal. We'll take Prabula when he transfers, or Zollers when Zollers says, I want an opportunity. We'll go, oh, we got it. We'll take it for you.
Okay.
Do you want that in Illinois?
Who?
Prabula? You like to throw the
he'll
football.
be better than, because I don't really have anybody internally ready to go.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. Illinois likes to heave the ball downfield, and I don't know if Prabula's that.
Yeah, I think he's perfect for what they want to do. They need to run the football.
This is the opposite of how Bielema would draw up a football
team. What happened this year? Because now we can do kind of like, Mizzou's not quite here yet, but they're probably going to be here next week, or 2 weeks from now, I guess, because of the bye. Your season is effectively over in the modern day of what college football is, right? Like once you get to that third loss, college football playoff is out the window. Now you can start looking at next year. What happened? What went wrong for Illinois this season, in your opinion?
They couldn't come up with answers defensively. And I think it starts with their secondary, which is kind of beat up, but it still shouldn't be this bad. I was looking today because I mentioned on Friday, you asked me, how do they win this football game? And I said, well, they're going to give up yards. What they have to do is they have to force turnovers. They are kind of feast or famine. They get turnovers, they're probably going to win the football game. If they don't, it's going to look like what it did. 4 of their 6 Power 4 conference opponents this year have punted less than twice or been stopped on fourth down less than twice in a football game. The only ones that they did that against was Purdue, who's awful, and they did that against Ohio State, and that was mostly because Ohio State at the end of the game was just running the football. They couldn't get off the field on third down. They can't get off the field defensively. They give up way too many passes in the secondary, and I don't think they've made a lot of good adjustments in games either. They go into a game and they say, like the Indiana game, for example, you knew you were without your top corner who was out for the year in the previous game. And they said, okay, well, we're going to go man-to-man coverage, right? We're going to blitz Mendoza, and we're going to just go man-to-man across the board. when it clearly didn't work through the first 2 drives, there was no adjustment to it. Yesterday, what was the game plan? The game plan was, hey, we're going to sit everybody back in cover, sit in zone, and we're going to force the Washington quarterback to beat us with his arm, not his legs. Okay, well, you clearly couldn't stop him on the first 2 or 3 drives. And what was the adjustment? There was no adjustment. So I think they're probably going to have to look at an adjustment with their defensive coordinator this offseason.
From Danny Tanner, guys, I felt like such a baby, but on Vandy's big run, there was a pretty clear and obvious hold. The TV crew never once brought it up. I don't know if we lose that game anyways, but I felt like I was taking crazy pills. Did you see the same thing? Yeah, there was a hold. Didn't get called. It sucked. And then a couple of different plays. There were the tripping calls. One of them I think was legit. The one that took away, I think it was the 5-yard first down run by Bo Prabula. That one was, in my opinion, a legit trip on Mizzou. The one on Tollison, he just got pushed back on his ass. And his legs went up because that's what happens when you fall backwards. I didn't think that was legit at all. And then the one that frustrated me most was actually the pass interference call on Mizzou's corner, Stephen Hall. The ball was 7 yards out of bounds. It was clearly uncatchable, and they called pass interference. I didn't see that one at all. So there were some pretty significant consequential calls in that game. That's what's so frustrating when you get into a game like this. That being said, though, they lost that game because they didn't take advantage of their opportunities. They missed a field goal. They got blown up on 4th and goal from the 1. They have the mesh point fumble, and they're a half-yard short on a Hail Mary call. Ultimately, I'm not blaming the refs for losing them the game, but there were really consequential calls that did go against Mizzou. So it sucks, but you had plenty of opportunities to win despite what some of those calls were. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from the 636. Guys, after Friday's exhibition against K-State, any thoughts about this Mizzou basketball team? Looked like Jaden Stone could be a spark for them off of the bench. I was impressed by what I saw from the basketball team. Did you guys see any of this? I totally understand if you didn't watch it.
Did not see any of this.
I was impressed. I can tell you right now, I'm going to be super annoyed by Porter.
Why, man?
Super annoyed. He's a big dude that doesn't go inside.
Oh. Well,
those guys drive me bonkers.
Those work, actually.
Settles for way too many threes. Yeah, it's going to be frustrating. So that was annoying. But I liked what I saw from Stone. I really liked what I saw out of Ant Robinson. He looked awesome. And their new big man is really fun. He can run up and down the court. He's got some athleticism to him. He might be one of the more skilled big men that they've had, I don't know, in the last 3 to 5 years, since Jeremiah Tillman maybe. So I like what they've got there as well. How much does it mean that they beat up on K-State, who's not expected to be very good this year? Not a whole lot, but it was fun. I enjoyed seeing what they were able to do.
For how they ended last year, I'm excited to see them play. But, yeah, I didn't check in on an exhibition game.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 636, T-Bone, how's that Altmaier statue looking for Illinois?
Good question.
I don't think he's getting it, but he's still a really good quarterback. He's the best quarterback probably this century, maybe 21st century, I should say. Him and Juice were probably the top 2. I mean, I know he had 2 turnovers, which didn't help the cause, but he played excellent in that football game still. He made some incredible throws, took some shots, made some great deep balls. That loss wasn't on him. It was the fact that the defense couldn't stop a high school football team.
From the 314, guys, who do you think are the top 5 teams in college football right now? I think Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M are 3 of the 5.
Put Alabama up there.
Yeah, I'd put Alabama.
I'm good with that.
You put Oregon up there?
I think the next one is between Oregon, Georgia, Ole Miss, probably.
Yeah, I think those would be the teams.
I would go Oregon.
I think I'd have Oregon, but
I would listen on Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is right there.
I still don't trust Georgia in that defense.
Yeah, I think Alabama and Ole Miss are better than Georgia.
And I don't know how much I really trust Ole Miss's defense either.
I'll go Oregon as the 5th. I think the Big Ten, the top of it this year, is so good, man. Those 3 teams are awesome. The problem is there's no depth whatsoever.
Once you get past 5. Whew.
And really, I would say 4 and below.
I'd say 3.
It just doesn't match up to what the SEC has this year.
Come on, man. You saw Illinois against some of those other teams.
Yeah, but us and USC?
No.
I would say in the SEC, A&M, Bama, Georgia, or Ole Miss. Those are your top 3 in one order or another. So Ole Miss, let's say in this scenario, is the 4th best team in the SEC. Significantly better than the 4th best team in the Big Ten, which is probably Illinois. maybe
Yeah.
Washington. I guess
or
Washington.
USC or Washington, yeah.
Sure. Ole Miss, I would take over any of those teams. Vandy, over any of those teams. Tennessee, Oklahoma, Missouri. They're all just better than these teams that are their counterparts in the Big Ten this season. So the depth in the SEC, I think, is significantly better. It's flipped. It's the reverse of what it was last year, where the Big Ten was super deep and the SEC was very top-heavy. This year, the Big Ten is very top-heavy. The SEC has the depth.
I think when you get to like Tennessee, Oklahoma, Mizzou, those teams, Illinois, USC, maybe Washington, maybe would give a fight. Like they could win a football game against them. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with your premise overall.
Yeah, it's just a better conference this year than what the Big Ten has to offer. But I think the best teams in the country are from the Big Ten this year. And ultimately, that's what the season's going to be remembered for. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to get to our football pick'em reveal. We finished out officially this month's pick'em. We'll let you know how this weekend went, who will ultimately be punished for month number 2 in our football pick'em. But coming up next, Mike Kelly is an NHL analyst for Fanduel Sports this season. He's going to join us to discuss the disconnect from what the numbers say the Blues should be this year and what they actually are. Mike Kelly joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State. As new Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings Sportsbook goes live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We do have our projected lineup from the St. Louis Blues for tonight. Buckle in. It's a different one. Booch with Suter and Snuggie. We did get that one right, Alex. And then they've got Joseph with Shin and Kyrou. Holloway on the third line projected for tonight with Sonny and Texier. And then your fourth line leading into tonight, according to the Blues official team website, Torpo with Bukestad and Walker. They also are expected to go back to Logan Mailloux to be paired with Tyler Tucker, Joel Hofer in net. This is all coming off of a very disappointing loss over the weekend as the Blues get out to a 4-0 lead, ultimately lose the game against Detroit by a final score of 6-4.
We don't have to relive it, all right? We went through it. Let's move on.
All right, so we are breaking it all down now with Mike Kelly, NHL analyst. You can see him occasionally on the Blues games this year as he is a part of the Fanduel Sports Network. He joins us via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Mike, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much for hopping on with us today. One of the main reasons we wanted to have you on today is because when I look at any of the underlying numbers for the St. Louis Blues, like I know all of these models are slightly different, but one that I go to is Money Puck. And you look at their expected goals shared on the season, and they're top 3 in the NHL. And that seems to be the case with most of these public models. And then I watch them night in and night out, and they get beat more often than not, and it doesn't look like they're playing well. Can you explain to me the disconnect between what the numbers are telling me the Blues are and what my eyes are telling me that the Blues have been so far this year?
Well, I can tell you what our numbers say. It's sport logic. I mean, we've got St. Louis as a kind of middle-of-the-pack-ish offensive team from a process standpoint, a little bit better than average, but not top of the league. And they're middle of the pack in goals, so there's not a huge deviation there. Defensively is where there is a massive one. And I know some people, when you get into talk about models, can be like, well, I don't know what that means, what's going into it, and all the rest of it, right? So let me just give you some facts. They're fourth in shot attempts against. They're fifth in shots from the slot against. They're third in the amount of time they spend defending in their own zone. They're fourth in cycle chances against, third in rebound chances against, sixth in high danger chances against, and that gets us to fifth in expected goals against. So they're not bad defensively. I've watched enough of Blues games. I worked one last week against the Kings as well. They're not bad defensively. They don't give up a ton. They've had a couple blowout games, which is going to completely kind of screw up your goals against, but they've also had some poor play from their goaltenders that just hasn't been good enough. So, yeah, they're second last in the league in goals against, but that has far more to do with the goaltending than it does the team defense.
Has anything stood out to you in that front, Mike, or maybe some type of analytics-wise of where the goalies are getting beat or how they're getting beat? Because for Blues fans, it's odd to hear Binnington and Hofer's second worst in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, and like Hofer's shown he's a capable goalie. Like I'm a little more surprised. Like Binnington's had some good moments, whatever. It's fine. I'm not in the body of work for him in his career. Not overly concerned. I'm not even overly concerned about their goaltending. Period. It's just there's been some blow-ups and there's been some quick strikes against. It's like bang bang, and now you're in trouble. I haven't done a super deep dive on this, but like one thing that I did look at. And I kind of go this route when I want to understand why goalies may be struggling. I built a model a couple of years ago that looks at how they do on shots with traffic and how they do without it. And when I talk about traffic, I'm looking at screens, rebounds, deflections, just things that give goalies a hard time versus the rest, which I would say is a clean shot. Now, that clean shot could be a breakaway. It could be a backdoor tap-in. But is the goalie getting messed up by the stuff in front and around them or getting beat clean? Out of 61 qualified goalies, Binnington is 41st, Hofer is last in save percentage on these clean shots. And we know that the Blues aren't giving up a high degree of dangerous ones, right? So they're getting beat clean too often, which just to me kind of puts a little bit more of it on the goalies than the team defense. But like I said, I've got faith in both of these guys to be better than average goalies. I think at the end of the year, we'll probably look at it that way. It's the start of the year. Crazy things happen. Sample size things happen. Struggles happen. They're just magnified. Like if you come out and score 8 goals in your first 5 games, hey, this guy might win the Rocket. Maybe this guy's never scored 30 before. He probably won't. And struggling, it's the same thing. So at the start of the year, there's just a big spotlight.
We're talking to Mike Kelly, NHL analyst. He works for Fanduel Sports, and as you heard, he also does a bunch of stuff for Sports Logic. He's the director of analytics and insights for Sports Logic. They have some unbelievable data on the NHL. Mike, when you look at this Blues team, what is the thing that gives you optimism that this is going to get turned around and it's going to get better? If there's any one thing in particular that you'd point to.
Well, like I said, I think they've been fairly competent defensively. The one thing that I'll say that has hurt them, and when they clean this up, things will look better, and it'll actually help their goalies a lot, is puck management. I'm sure you guys have talked about this, not to go and relive the Detroit game, but my goodness.
It's all right, Mike.
They were kicking it around there in the second half of that game. I was working that game, actually, for Fanduel Detroit, so I was looking at it kind of from the other direction, but again, another thing that I track that I know was kind of significant in the game is not just turnovers, but what happens next. And at 5-on-5, the Blues have the worst goal differential off of turnovers at -9 this year. So they're not creating a ton by doing it, and they're giving up a lot. Again, goalies are part of that. But what gives me optimism about them, like they're going into this next game without their best playmaker and their best goal scorer. So that's a problem. But in general, Neighbours a good goal scorer. Thomas, one of the things I talked about in the Kings broadcast last week, he had 1 assist in 5 games. I'm like, this guy's playmaking numbers are still through the roof. And he's going to, when guys start burying, he's going to start piling up assists. He's got 4 in his last 3 games. He is a fantastic center. Good defensively as well, all those things. They have a good team. And I think they're going to be battling for a playoff spot, probably getting one. There's just obviously some wonky things that have happened at the start of the year, and they need to clean it up. Like they need to own it at the same time. But I think they'll be fine.
Mike, that was going to be my follow-up, so I'm glad you brought it up. It seems like center-wise, between Thomas and Shen and Suter, they're generating offense. The Blues just are suffering from finishing. And does that just go around with the exception of Jake Neighbours, of some of these wingers that just aren't finding the back of the net?
Yeah, for sure, to a point. Like when I looked at the stuff on Thomas last week, I start looking at the first thing is look at the numbers and see what it tells you, and it tells me that they're not off of where he's been, which is top 20 as a playmaker last year. I'm like, okay, why doesn't he have assists? So I start looking at the video of these things. Weird for an analytics guy to do. I know I'm going to break the mold on this one, but I go and look at that, and I'm like, oh, there's a backdoor tap, and he flubbed it. Oh, there's a great setup, off the post. Like it was one of those things that was going to come, and it will. Their center position is pretty strong with those 3 guys. But, the Blues they're kind of in a bit of a funk in a few different ways now that I think, again, will ultimately break out of. The season as a whole, offensively, it's not like there's this massive gap between what they've scored and what they should score based on what they've generated. So I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, yeah, they keep playing this way for the next 5 games, they're going to score 30 goals. But they kind of are where they are. And I still don't think they're going to be a team, if they get into the playoffs and are a tough out for teams, that are going to do it by racking up the score. They're going to do it by defending well and having good goaltending.
Mike, one of the last things that I wanted to ask you about, it is early. You've mentioned this, like, hey, sometimes wonky stuff can happen in the first 7-8 games of the season, but it's been a bit of a struggle at times early on this season for Dylan Holloway. And I'm curious, when you look under the hood on the numbers, because the traditional metrics, obviously, low on the goal output, plus minus ain't great, but when you look under the hood a bit, what are you seeing that's different, if anything, from Dylan Holloway this season compared to his breakout a year ago?
More than anything, I think it's going to come with him just based on the underlying numbers. Like, I know he's low in terms of goals. Goal probability is higher. Like, among all forwards in the league, he's top 50 in scoring chances. Generating off the rush with his speed, I think he could do a little bit more of. But he's getting looks in a few different types of chances. He's got the puck quite a bit in the offensive zone. So more than anything, I think there's going to be some natural regression there. But it's also, like you said, it's one of those early season things where if the puck goes in for you a few times, all of a sudden you're laughing. If it doesn't, it's like now you're in this big funk, and he's got 1 goal in 8 games. So It's not going to – if he kind of keeps doing what he's doing, I think he's going to be more in line with what we saw last year than this is who he is now, a 1 goal in 8 game, kind of 3 points in 8 game type of player.
Mike, final one for me, and I'm not sure how much you've looked into this individual players throughout this early portion of the season because he's been in and out of the lineup. But Logan Mailloux is a topic for a lot of Blues fans right now. Has not been the start that he's wanted, but has anything stuck out to you in him individually when he's been on the ice?
Haven't done like a super deep dive on Logan Mailloux. I think when him and Tucker were out there, like their differentials were really not good. I want to say no goals for and 5 against. And obviously his plus minus, if you want to look at just something really simple, is not good. What, he's -9, I think. Going under the hood and looking at kind of the deeper, analytics in terms of his individual impact in certain areas of the game. We're talking about a small sample size, of course, but like he's not top 100 in really anything. It's unlike Holloway, unlike Thomas, there's not much I can say, but there's this and this, so just give it a few games. He's a young player. I think kind of certainly unfairly to him. The guy he got traded for is off to a great start, but they play different positions and they have different levels of experience. So I don't even think I hate seeing that comparison because to me it makes no sense. And you've also got another defenseman who comes into the league like Mailloux's 22. He's for a defenseman to figure the league out. That's still young. He's only played 12, 13 games in the league. Then you get this 18-year-old punk in New York, Matthew Schaefer, coming out, and you're making it look like it's easy to be a Hall of Famer right out of the gate. So you stack all of that up, and I get why Blues fans are probably like, hey, what's our guy doing? He's supposed to be good, but it's still super, super early. And I know from kind of prospect work I've done on him going back a few years and also talking to people who really do that work day in and day out, there's a lot to be optimistic about.
Would you say it's fair, Mike, to classify that trade as more of like being about the future for the Blues and being about the now for the Montreal Canadiens?
Yeah, 100%. The finish he had to the year last year was incredible, and he's got a kind of elements of his game that you'd like, that you think are going to translate well in the playoffs too. Like there's a lot to like there, and maybe pretty highly touted defensive prospect. So that's why, again, it's not apples to apples in terms of the player, where they are in their career, where the teams expect them to be right now versus in a couple of years. So I don't know. Anytime I hear that chatter less than 10 games into this season, it's just like, all right, let's give it a bit of space.
Mike Kelly is an NHL analyst. He does work for Fanduel Sports. He's going to be on some of the Blues games this year over on the Fanduel Sports Midwest feed. He's also the director of analytics and insights for Sports Logic. You can find him on Twitter at Mike Kelly NHL. Mike, thanks so much for the time today, man. Really appreciate you putting some context behind the numbers that we're seeing and where the Blues are doing well and maybe why there is a little bit more optimism for this team than what the record would suggest.
My pleasure, guys. I'll be doing the game tomorrow night, and I'm just happy I don't have to follow up the Red Wings game, and hopefully it'll be whoa, look at the Blues breaking out without 2 of their best guys. So we'll see all you Blues fans tomorrow night.
Hey, you're not the only one that's hoping for that, Mike. Me too. As pre and post game host, me too, Mike. Me too.
Wish you the best, man. Thanks so much for hopping on.
All right, see you.
See you, Mike.
That's Mike Kelly, NHL analyst. Appreciate him joining us here on BK and Ferrario. Now that he's doing a little more stuff for Fanduel Sports, we're hoping to have him a little bit more regularly here on the show. I think he does awesome work.
Do too.
And one of the things that you notice there, he doesn't just do the numbers, he also puts the video work behind it. I think he's one of the best analysts in the business.
I think it was a great move by Fanduel to bring him on, too, for these NHL broadcasts, because I've seen him on other games as well, watching some of the local broadcasts, like you mentioned with Detroit. I mean, he provides an analysis that nobody else really can with some of the numbers that he uses, stuff that NHL coaches and NHL scouts use. So, and I think it was really good to talk with him now because he reiterated everything that we've talked about in terms of what we're seeing.
Yep.
Because him talking about that, you're above league average in offensive chances created. Your defense is actually really good.
He basically said offense is solid, defense elite.
Yeah.
goaltending has been crap so far this year, but he expects it to be better.
All of this stuff gets righted. The cream always rises to the top, as Darren Pang used to say. So it felt like he nailed it in a lot of those areas in terms of what we see. And frankly, what Jim Montgomery has said. Like, the game that he's been most critical about was that LA Kings game. But everything he's saying in terms of we need to forecheck better, we need to generate offense from how good we are defensively. We're not going to score games, or we're not going to put up 8 goals a game, but we're going to put 3 up and be hard to play against. That's what the Blues have gotten away from for 60 minutes.
They need better goaltending. Hopefully they'll be able to get that tonight. Joel Hofer back in the net for the Blues. Pre-game with Alex begins at 5 o'clock. Puck drop for that one tonight at 6 between the Blues and the Penguins. Coming up in about 15 minutes. Is it over for both of the local schools already? We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Football Pick'em reveal, our final week of the second month of the season. Who's getting punished this month? We'll tell you next year on 101 ESPN. All right, it's time for our football pick'em reveal alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So, Alex, going into the week, you're safe.
Yeah.
You're good.
It felt very good making my picks, too, because there was not a whole lot of confidence with them, but I was like, you know what, I can't lose this one. The problem, though, is I didn't want to just completely tank on it because the overall season standings, it's like I got to keep pace with where I've been.
So we're going to start out with Alex's picks.
Man, I feel like we've been doing this all season.
He did. And then we'll get to the real competition here, which is
the toilet bowl
between T-Bone and myself.
You guys start a week?
If you're new to this, we pick 3 games against the spread each and every weekend. We do this on Friday. The only real rules, A, it has to be against spread. No prop bets, no point totals. B, it has to be played prior to the start of the show on Monday, so Monday Night Football is off the table for us. No Thursday Night Football either. Anything played between Friday night and Sunday night is very much in play. Alex, your 1-point play, as it always is the case, is in the NFL side of things.
I don't get this line. I don't like this line. Probably going to lose this one, but I'm taking the Bills on the road against the Panthers -7. I do think Josh Allen and James Cook and that offense are going to come out of the gates flying.
Allen checks to the second call, which is a crack toss for James Cook, and it was a good call. It's a house call. It's a touchdown. Over 200 yards, James Cook for the first time in his NFL career.
Yeah, that one had turned off at halftime. Felt good on that one.
Never a doubt.
No.
Andy Dalton looked like he had never played football before.
Yeah. It's part of the reason why I was like, well, maybe I should go with this one since Bryce Young's not playing.
The weird thing is, this is what made me anxious about it. I think Bryce Young's been so bad this year, and then I saw Andy Dalton, I was like, whoa, this is way bad.
Look good.
So, yeah, easy win for Alex on that one. He's stuck in the AFC East for his 2-point play.
Going with the Patriots -7 as my 2-point play. Browns, their defense is good. Might make life difficult for Drake May, but I just don't think Dylan Gabriel, that offense, puts up any points. It's in New England. Mike Vrabel, Drake May, they're feeling it right now.
He's throwing for the end zone, and back there, the catch is made. Keyshawn Booty has 6. A 3-touchdown game for May.
That one I was a little nervous on early on. When he threw that interception and he had like 2 empty drives, I'm like, oh, God, this one's going to hurt me. And it was at 7-point. I told you, if it was 6.5, I would have felt so much better. But in the second half, it's just like Cleveland gave up.
Drake May is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
He should be in the MVP conversation, just like Daniel Jones should be in the conversation, and Baker Mayfield's taken a step back after these last couple of weeks. Drake May should be top 3 right now in the conversation.
He's been amazing.
Yeah.
Doing that against that defense, because you mentioned it in that pick, Alex. The Browns defense is legit. Mm-hmm. They're really good.
Myles Garrett had a historic game, I think. He had, like, what, 5 sacks?
Something like that?
5.5?
He was pissed when they took him out of that game.
He should get traded.
Drake May, it didn't bother him.
Yep.
He just kept on coming. He's like, yeah, I've been sacked 6 times. I don't care. I'm just going to keep firing. And he's throwing to Mac Hollins and Keyshawn Boutte and Demario Douglas and Austin Hooper, who was good like 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's been amazing.
Yeah. Every game feels like he's throwing for 2+ touchdowns and running for 1. And that's big because their running game is not good. So I don't know, man. Like he should be top 3, at least top 5 MVP conversations at this point of the season.
All right, Alex, let's get to your 3-point play.
I think the Bears have been a better team this season than the Baltimore Ravens. And the Bears are a 6.5-point underdog on the road. They're for sure going to lose this game. They'll lose by like 25, and I won't understand it, and we'll get back here on Monday, and I'll be like, I guess, it was that big of a difference to have Lamar Jackson back into the lineup. So I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to take them plus the 6.5 points.
Well, that's my 3-point play.
Is it really?
That's my 3-point play. I looked at that, and I said, I don't think the Ravens are very good, and I don't care if Lamar's playing.
Henry in the backfield. Hand it to him. Henry bounces off. Gets to the outside. Henry! He's got the angle. Touchdown, Ravens!
Once again, this is why I don't trust the Bears, and I don't think they're good.
They kicked, 5 field goals in this game? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4 field goals and missed one of them.
Caleb Williams threw a pick at the worst freaking time in that football game. He blew another perfect week for me.
Well, to be fair,
they didn't even have Lamar.
He picked that game before you jumped on board, so you could have changed.
Yeah, but I can't change it. It was it was already on my list. It was the one I was most confident in.
Almost 200 yards rushing against the Bears. I'm not. Their offense, whatever. We know it's going to sputter at times. I'm a little annoyed because the Ravens' defense has been terrible all season long, but they got more healthy, so whatever. That's fine. The Bears' defense looking like that against Tyler Huntley. That's what's frustrating to me. You shouldn't give up 30 to Tyler Huntley. That's annoying.
Around there.
That sucks. That was my 1-point play, but it was also Alex's 3-point play. So Alex finishes with 3 points for the week, gets 16 points for the month, got 3 of your 4 3-point plays this month as well. You're up to 34 points so far on the season. So well done by Alex Ferrario. If you're following his picks, like each week you're going 2-1. He's getting you a good amount of money right now.
And I'm staying away from getting cocky with him, 1, and 2, I'm staying away from betting on my actual picks because I know how that goes.
Getting away from saying cocky with it 5 seconds ago.
That wasn't cocky, that was celebrating.
All right.
When you win in a shootout duel, T-Bone, you don't celebrate pre-shootout. You do it after you shot the guy.
Let's go to T-Bone's picks. Let's start out with his 1-point play, as is typically the case on the college side of things.
Well, guys, we're going on a road trip where the bourbon is great. You know, it's smooth, gives you a little burn in your belly. And then you wake up the next morning and realize, oh, my God, I got to watch Kentucky football. They are awful in the SEC. They gave Texas a scare. I think that was their last game that they keep close in conference play. Give me the Tennessee Volunteers on the road at Kentucky, minus 8.5 points.
Aguilar lets it go deep again. This time left sideline. Caught. Touchdown, Matthews. 62 yards.
Never really a doubt on this one, T-Bone. Tennessee doesn't play any defense.
No,
that was still the case on Saturday. This is a classic Josh Heupel team.
Yep.
They kind of got away from that over the last couple of years where they're awesome defensively and not so great offensively. Now, this year, they're just throwing it all over the yard, and they stop nothing. But they scored 56, so you win.
Yeah. I won't lie. Early on, when it was like back and forth there going, I was like, oh, my God. I knew that Tennessee couldn't stop anybody. Did I really make this mistake? Then they pulled away, so I was happy.
And good on T-Bone. He did check the injury report. Here's his 2-point play.
My 2-point play, my 2 and 3-point play, guys. I'm going into uncharted territory, and watching this conference play football, it's like riding in a bowl. It's not a fun experience. I don't know who's really that good at this football in this conference, but I'm going there. I'm going to the ACC, and I'm looking at Georgia Tech. Let's go down memory lane where BK's like, I'm going with Syracuse against Duke. I don't understand this line.
Sounds
BK,
like
their quarterback's out. He tore his Achilles. Syracuse backup quarterback's not going to do anything this weekend. I don't think the Orange can stop Georgia Tech. I think they run away with this one. It's a heavy line, but I like it. Georgia Tech minus 16.5 at home against Syracuse.
Boy, it's rare what they have here at Georgia Tech. And a squeeze up here to Patterson. He breaks free. Stays in bounds. Dives and hits the pylon. It's a touchdown for Tech.
Not only nailed the pick, but nailed the BK impression, man. Congrats to you.
I work on it. Yeah, thank you. Early on, Syracuse hung around. I was like, oh, my God. No, this can't really happen, right?
16.5. That would have scared the bejesus out of me. But good on you to get it.
Haynes King is one of my favorite players in the country to watch.
He's really
Guy's
good.
awesome.
I don't know who he reminds me of. I've been trying to figure that out because he's a decent thrower, but he's
Riley
really just
Leonard, former quarterback for Notre Dame.
That's a good comp.
Kinda
He's more of
similar.
a bulldozer when he's running the football.
Yeah, he's just a really good player. Fits perfectly with what they're trying to do at Georgia Tech. So they get the win. They cover the spread. T-Bone's up to 3 points on the week. Let's hear his 3-point play.
My 3-point play, guys, some things in life are just destined to fail. Like the head coach for the San Francisco Giants that they just hired out of college, destined to fail. Bill Belichick going to the college game at 70-something years old while dating a college girlfriend, destined to fail at North Carolina. They are awful, the Tar Heels. He's probably going to be fired at the end of the year. Virginia's rolling into town with this high-powered offense. They're going to kick the crap out of them. Minus 10.5. Yeah, poor Bill's going to watch 30-plus points get put up on his home field again.
Snap. Lopez to his left. Throws. It's caught. And Hall did not get in, and Virginia wins.
That's disappointing. Virginia was never looked comfortable in that game. North Carolina, to their credit, has looked decent over the last 2 weeks defensively, not offensively. They look awful. Defensively, did a pretty good job against Cal, did a really good job against Virginia. And they might pull off one ACC win, but man, Virginia, that was not great.
Not good. That feels like
this team's not who we thought they are.
Sleepwalk through this one, and yet you look now over the last few weeks after that Florida State win, and Florida State might not be as good as we thought they were at the time. Go to overtime against Louisville to get that win. Beat Washington State by 2 and then now on the road beat North Carolina by 1 in overtime.
They're frauds.
They might just not be a very good football team. They might be pretty mediocre, and because they're in the ACC, we're thrown off of the scent. They've got a loss or two coming up on their schedule at some point in time. That's not a playoff team in Virginia. All right, so you end up with 3 points as well in the week. Go 2-1.
Yeah.
I came into the week down by 1, which means I need at least 3 points with a tiebreaker to be able to get this thing.
You already missed your 1 point play, man.
Excuse me, I need 4 points plus the tiebreaker. Or get, all 6 of them. That'd be nice,
Well,
too.
you've already failed on that one. You've ruined it for me. So if you would have picked another game.
Let's start out with my 3-point play.
Other pick that I'm going to make, Alex, it's not a Sunday. And so that means I think the Packers are good. Now, by the time that we get to Sunday, I will once again watch this game, and I know how it's going to go. I'm going to think to myself, why did I trust the Packers?
Which happened.
They're not a very good football team.
Multiple
They're going to win. They'll end up winning by like 2 points. I will not cover the spread, and I will be incredibly annoyed. But I like the Packers. I've got them -2.5 on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just don't think Pittsburgh's all that good. I think the Packers are going to give them a lot of trouble defensively. I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to score much in this game.
Pressure coming. He picked it up. Inside. Kraft's got it. At the 10. Kraft running away to the end zone. He has 2 touchdowns.
I felt horrible up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah. BK at 8:30 in the group chat. It's happening again with the Packers. It's happening.
All caps. I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm like, oh.
Every week, man, I get to Monday or Tuesday, and I'm like, Packers are really good. And then I watch them on Sunday, and I'm like, Packers are not that good. I don't understand why I'm so high on them. And for the first 3 quarters, I felt that way again because their defense just looked kind of off, and the offense wasn't doing a whole lot. They miss a couple of field goals. They're settling. It's just a weird game. It felt disjointed. And then you get to the fourth quarter, and they immediately just put the foot on the gas pedal. I'm like, that's why I like you. Because you have Tucker Kraft, who at any point in time can look like one of the most terrifying weapons in the NFL.
Incredible.
Jordan Love completes 20 straight passes. Like, that's the guy that BK's been telling me about all this time.
I also
Fourth quarter, he was awesome.
Buy 0 stock into it because Pittsburgh's defense is not awesome.
All right, so that's my 3-point play.
All right, man.
Which means 1 more point. We go to a tiebreaker situation. You mentioned it earlier, Alex. I did miss my 1-point play because I trusted the Bears.
Wow.
So let's hear my 2-point play.
T-Bone last week, I think it was last week, said, you know what? This is just a pick against a team. I just don't believe in this team. I think they're terrible. That team was Wisconsin. I am going to follow that same energy here. The line is significant. It's a biggin. 32.5 in favor of Oregon. I don't think that's high enough.
Beautiful play fake. They go to Mason for the touchdown. Lance Mason, the senior from Rockwall, Texas.
All you had to do, man, was not make that last comment. All you had to do.
What happened, Oregon?
They heard you say, I don't think that line's big enough.
They walked through that one.
They did nothing.
I mean, rightfully so with Wisconsin.
Alex, their first 4 drives, turnover on downs. They did a surprise onside kick, by the way, to start this game out. Turnover on downs, and then punt. Against Wisconsin. Wisconsin invites you to score as many points as humanly possible. Their quarterback ends up getting hurt in the second half as well, so they go to their backup. There's a bunch of questions afterwards about the coach potentially misleading people on who their backup quarterback is, all this different stuff. Just a weird game in every possible way. They get the win, so whatever. It doesn't matter for them, but it very much matters for me because I needed them to win and cover. Good teams win. Alex, what do the great teams do?
Oh, they cover and win.
Well, the Oregon Ducks apparently aren't great, and I misread the situation, so they end up losing the game. I lose my bet. I finish with 9 points in this month. T-Bone gets to 10. I had the tiebreaker. I would have won because I got my 3-point play this week had I simply covered the spread with Oregon on Saturday. But I did not. And therefore, once again, I will be punished for this month's Pick'em challenge.
It wouldn't be football season without Saturdays with college, Sundays with the NFL, and BK serving a punishment at the end of every month.
What is this punishment that we're doing this time around?
I don't know. We'll have to look into it, but we'll get it taken care of at some point over the next week or so.
Spicy wings one.
We'll get it taken care of.
Do that.
I can probably do that. We can make that happen. Is that our choice? Is that what we're doing?
I forget
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it and we'll bring it in. We'll have a decision tomorrow on BK and Ferrario.
Give us more time.
No, we'll make a decision today.
All right. We'll get those ready to go for you by later this week. Coming up in 10 minutes, we're going to dive into the junk drawer. But next, is it over for both of the local schools? We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues fell to the Red Wings over the weekend. They are back in action tonight as they visit the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and Puck Drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. Jim Montgomery told the media in Pittsburgh earlier today there will be no Jake Neighbors and Robert Thomas for today's game as they are listed as day-to-day, but Alexei Toropchenko will be returning to the Blues lineup. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll get into the junk drawer. But, Alex, we got to talk a little bit about the local schools in college football once again. Let's start out with the Illinois Fighting Illini because I think the answer to them is a lot easier than it is for the Mizzou conversation. It's over, right? The college football playoff conversation. We came into the season and T-Bone said it's college football playoff or bust for the Illini. They basically had 3, maybe you could argue 4 significant games on the schedule this year, and they've now lost either 3. They've lost 3 of them. Let's go ahead and say 4.
They've lost 3. I'll say 5. I think the Duke game ended up being bigger than expected.
Okay. 5 big games, you lost 3 of them, and boom, you're done. Is that fair? Fair way to put it?
Yeah. I don't see a path for them to the college football playoff. They don't have a quality win remaining on their schedule to help them
I don't think Duke was a big game. I think T-Bone's just trying to raise that percentage.
Well, they only lost like 2 games.
It's about as big as Mizzou versus Kansas.
They're 4-3.
Well, they could finish 9-3. Okay, same record as Illinois.
I'd say 3 or 4, and they lost.
9-3, and Duke will be better than Mizzou.
He just is trying to make the percentage not be 25% success against good teams.
Yeah, it hasn't been good enough. They didn't do well enough against the quality teams on their schedule. They gave themselves a chance with that performance against USC, and then that set up this past weekend to, hey, go out there, beat Washington, and maybe you can get in. Maybe the loss against Indiana is just too much to overcome because of the margin of defeat there, but it at least would have given them a chance, and they couldn't get stops. You look back at these games, I mean, when you went up against good opponents, 63 points allowed against Indiana. You won, but 32 points allowed against USC, 34 against Ohio State, and then 42 this past weekend against Washington. It's pretty clear what's gone wrong this year. It's a few things. 1, you can't get stops. It's the biggest thing. 2, your offensive line hasn't been good enough, both in protecting Luke Altmaier and in their running game. They have had 0 games against Power 5 opponents in which you've had a 100-yard rusher. That's not a Brett Bielema team, man.
No.
He wants to ground and pound all day long, and they haven't been capable of doing that this season. And then, Beatty's been good. I do think they're kind of missing that big-time playmaker that they had a year ago where you knew moments big, doesn't matter the matchup. You've got a dude that can go up and get it in Pat Bryant, and I don't think you quite have that to the same degree this season. So you add all of that up, it's not a team that was able to live up to the expectations that they had preseason.
Yeah, I would agree that they don't have the go-to wide or they don't have as big a playmaker as Pat Bryant. They could have gotten by with Hank Beatty if they had a decent defense. The problem for them is their defense. I mean, you mentioned it. They can't get stops. And yeah, they can't run the football, but, man, Altmaier's been so good throwing. They could have gotten away with that as well, I believe. And, yes, it's on the O-line. I also don't think the running back room's that good, if we're just being honest. Fagan can't move. He's too big. He should be playing middle linebacker, not running the freaking football.
Whoa, easy.
It comes down to their defense was the big driving force for them. Because, I mean, you mentioned it. They can't get off the football. They gave up 400-plus yards defensively in every game, but 1 against power conference opponents. They would have given that up to Ohio State if Illinois hadn't given them such a short field. So that's been their biggest problem. It's why they're going to be at, the Pop-Tart Bowl or something later on in the postseason.
On the Mizzou side of things, Alex, I was just looking up some numbers during the break about what Mizzou's quarterbacks did against Vanderbilt against the blitz. Probilo was 2 for 5 for 13 yards. Terrible. Zollers was 5 for 12. They clearly switched their game plan. Hey, true freshman quarterback, let's get after him. 5 for 12 for 26 yards. He did throw the touchdown against a blitz where he was able to find Jude James in the back of the end zone. But beyond that, I mean, he did a whole lot of nothing against the blitz. My guess, Texas A&M is just going to be coming after him from start to finish in their next game because they're going to try to put pressure on the young quarterback and make him freak out a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of optimism about how that game is going to go for Mizzou. Hopefully it goes great, but my guess is true freshman quarterback against top 5 team, probably not going to go well. And I think that's ultimately going to end the hope of Missouri's playoff chances. How are you feeling about Mizzou today after that 17-10 loss on the road at Vandy?
I think it's over. And I'm not going to say it's 100% over because, I mean, we've seen crazier things. I think if Mizzou could win out the rest of the way, and if you get a little help and somebody losing, then maybe that could skyrocket you to it. But already an uphill battle in terms of you trying to win out with Texas A&M and Oklahoma being on the road. And we've talked about this before, to where we think 5 teams at most could get in from the SEC. And if you just go through it, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and then
Texas A&M, Vandy, now you've lost head-to-head.
And Vandy's the one. So really what you're hoping for is that you pull off the win against Texas A&M and Oklahoma and then beat Mississippi State and Arkansas. And I think now's the point where you also need a little style points to go with it if you want to even put yourself in that slight tick in percentage chance that it goes up.
I think there are 4 SEC teams today that we know are probably going to make it to the playoff. A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. I think those 4 are almost certainly going to get in, barring something unforeseen. I think Vandy is likely to get into the playoff, but they've got to keep taking care of business. And then beyond that, I don't think Texas, Tennessee, Mizzou, or Oklahoma will be getting in.
No.
I think those are the teams that are going to be on the outside looking in, frustrated with what could have been this season instead of ultimately what was. The Big Ten, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon. I think those are your 3 teams. If we're going to get 8 teams between the Big Ten and the SEC, I think it's 5 for the SEC, 3 for the Big Ten this year, and that's the way that it's ultimately going to go. So it sucks. I wish it was different, but that loss against Vandy, they kept showing the graphic all day long on the broadcast of, hey, winner has a greater than 50% chance of getting into the playoff. Loser has a less than 20% chance of getting in. I think that's pretty indicative of where Mizzou's season is right now. They're going to have to run the table, and I don't think that's going to be possible with Matt Zollers, regardless of how impressive he was on Saturday. I was impressed by him. I thought he looked really good. He looked poised, but there are just so many big tests coming up. It's going to be tough for them to be able to make it work with a true freshman behind center. Coming up in about 10 minutes, why aren't the Blues' expected numbers matching their actual numbers so far this year, Alex? We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But next, the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN. It's time to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. Check them out today. They're online at victorymenshealth.com. When you get over there, you can check out all that they have to offer, whether it is dealing with erectile dysfunction, low testosterone symptoms. Maybe you're trying to lose some of that weight that you've gained over the course of this year, especially prior to the holidays. They can help you out with that at Victory Men's Health. They'll unlock your inner champion today. Go to their website at victorymenshealth.com. Book that first appointment, put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. They've done this for me. They can do the same for you. 4 great locations across the St. Louis area: O'Fallon, Missouri, O'Fallon, Illinois, Sunset Hills, and the location that I personally go to out in town and country. Again, they'll be able to help you out. They unlock your inner champion. Ask them about their vitamin infusion program, their supplement shop, their red light therapy, or even their cardiovascular testing. They're going to unlock your inner champion. They'll do so at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Alex, I've got a question for you.
All right.
So we went out to, have you ever been to Frankie Martin's out in, not that Frankie Martin. Frankie Martin.
What Frankie Martin were you talking about?
Ricky Martin is the guy that I'm thinking of. My apologies. Anyways, let's get back to Frankie Martin's, which is out in Cottleville.
How do you not know the man who's saying "Shake Your Bonbon"?
Let me ask this real quick.
No.
T-Bone, do you know who we're talking about?
No,
Are you kidding me? Dude,
I had a feeling.
Dude, what are you?
Now, is this me passing along the, hey, why don't you feel bad instead of making me feel bad? Yeah,
I mean, I can't be too upset because that was not his era, but still, man, like it's pop culture knowledge.
What is the song?
Ricky Martin. He's got multiple songs. Livin' La Vida Loca.
No.
Shake Your Bonbon.
Nothing. I'll look up over.
Look up Livin' La Vida Loca.
What a great music video that was, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was when I actually hit puberty.
So anyway, we went out to Frankie Martin's on Friday night. It's out in Cottleville. It's just this wide open area. They've got food trucks, all of these different things, right? And I want to know what you think of this from an adult's perspective who doesn't have kids.
Okay. So it's going to be a tough place to be, but I'll get there.
We went out there with Luca. He's 2 years old. He's crazy, right? He's sprinting back and forth on this turf area.
Been there before. Outside?
It's outside.
Okay.
It's a turf area. It's a wide open space. A whole lot of stuff going on. If you're another parent and or another adult just going out there, trying to have some drinks, hanging out, is that something that you get frustrated about?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Cool.
And even prior to having kids, it never bothered me. Now, here's the follow-up question. Was he running in between tables where he was running where it was an open area?
It's a wide open area.
If you got a problem with that, then don't go out to eat.
Okay.
That would be my response to it. And that's pre-kids. Now, obviously, in my mindset now, I look at it and I just laugh because it's like, yeah, that's my kids too. But no, if I'm going out as, let's say I'm a 24-year-old guy and I'm going out on a date and there's somebody who's got a little kid running around. If you get mad about that, don't go out to eat. Cool. Go to a fast food restaurant. Go somewhere where it's not a problem because that's life, man.
Would it bother you, T-Bone?
Did people give dirty looks?
Long as it's not like screaming at the top of his head while he's running around, it wouldn't bother me.
No, none of that.
That's when it bothers me.
It's one of those things that I was thinking about more than it was anybody else projecting it upon me.
I'm a victim of that.
I was curious.
I get internally, I get overly anxious about other people reacting to my kids. When we're at church on Sundays and we sit in the cry room because, our youngest is now starting to walk. So she wants to crawl around and walk and has no volume control.
No, I couldn't find this song.
On the other side, you weren't even looking for it. And
I did. I don't even know what I'm spelling out.
And my middle child, we're dealing with trying to handle our emotions. When you get frustrated, she's very vocal about it. And so we're in a cry room. This is what it's for. We're there so we don't distract people. But there are times that people sit in there during Mass, and you feel bad that it's like, oh, God, I'm interrupting their church. And so I react to my kids, and then it's like I have to remind myself, it's like, we've got kids. They're in the cry room. We're here for a reason. Don't get worked up about it.
There was, on Saturday, we went to a restaurant in St. Charles. My dad came out this weekend, so we were doing a bunch of stuff. So Saturday night, we went to a place called Bellavino. They have this really nice patio. It's a good spot, in my opinion, out in the St. Charles area. So my dad wanted to take us out for my birthday, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. And since he was in town now, took us out for my birthday. And I was looking at Kara. I was like, where do we go? Because Luke is great. He's a good kid. But, he's a 2-year-old going to a restaurant. You just never know how it's going to go. So we went on Saturday. And, dude, he was awesome. He was fantastic. But once he hit the point of no return, it was time to go.
Yep.
He's like, I need to go see the pumpkins out on Main Street. I'm done being here. So we wanted, to walk up and down the cobblestone.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
at that
fun.
point, we were like, all right, we're going to go ahead and head out.
Yeah.
But Friday with the big area.
There's no more of us sitting and talking when dinner's done when we go out. Because of our kids, we're in, we eat, and we leave. Because we know that we've got about a 45-minute window to get the food, have the kids eat, and then get up and leave. So, Going out to eat with us is a whirlwind. We'll get there. We sit down. The moment the waitress comes over, it's like, I'd like to order food for the kids. Just put it in, and God bless some of the waitresses because they're like, we get it. We'll go put it in now. Then they come back and take the drink order. Then the moment they put the food down, I look at the waitress and said, if you don't mind, could you just please bring the check whenever you get a chance? Because I know how this works. As soon as my kids are done eating, it's up, it's gone. And so by the time I'm done with my food, everything's paid. Get up, walk out of the restaurant.
What I would like more restaurants to start doing is they do this at one of the places we go to. They start out taking your card, and then they take your order. So
I've never heard that before.
So that way, it's two things.
It's kind of like a brewery where you put it on a tab or something almost.
Oh. One, it avoids you walking out on your tab because you've already started it, but at the very beginning. Two, at any point you can just say, hey, I'm ready to go ahead and take my check. All they have to do,
click a button,
flip out this iPad thing, hand it to you, and boom, you're good to go.
See,
there's nothing more that needs to be done.
I think people do it more like Chili's does it, to where they have that
the point of service
tablet on the thing, and it's just a matter of you pay on it. Like,
sure.
I love that
too.
because I can check it, make sure everything's right. If it's not, you can tell her, but then you just put the card on, you pay, and you go.
Absolutely.
Just got to make it easy for kids.
I still can't get over. So you're working on what with your oldest? The emotions are getting.
Well, no, our middle, yeah. So when she gets when she gets frustrated,
she gets upset, she does, I don't know, like something
vocally screams
like this.
And you lose the game because you're a half-yard short.
Kind of, but more like Julio Rodriguez.
Oh,
like I'll give you a great example. She carries all of her stuffed animals. She calls them her babies around with her everywhere we go. And at church, she had to take them all out and put them on the chair. They all had to sit in the chair to sit next to her for church. One fell off, lost her ever-loving mind.
Marshy just texted me. I apologize if I'm not supposed to read this on air, but he said, went to Frankie Martin's before, kids threw their bags from cornhole at us.
That's hilarious.
Kept missing on purpose and hit us multiple times. He said, not mad at the kids at all, but a little annoyed with the parents because they didn't say anything and certainly didn't apologize. I don't know. See, that's the thing to me.
That's where I would say something.
Yeah, if my kids are making your life miserable or they're like actually impacting your ability to just do your thing, that's when I need to step in. We go to a coffee shop and they have like this area for kids. People just like sit over in the main area and let their kids go play. And like, I feel as though I'm babysitting their kids while they're playing there. I'm like, dude, you have to parent. You still have to be around. It's cool that they've got this play area, but like, it's not my responsibility to watch your kids here.
Yeah.
I'll do it because that's who I am.
It's weird. It's weird because like I don't want to be a helicopter parent where it's like I want my kids to have the freedom, but on the flip side of that, I want to make sure you're not disrupting somebody else's time.
Sure.
Like one anxiety that I get is when my kids are staring at somebody at like dinner and they turn around and they stare at the person behind them. I'm like, these people don't want to look at you staring as they're chewing their food, so turn around. But it all means they're not disrupting anything. Typically, people like it.
Can we hear that one more time, T-Bone?
What?
The clip that you just played. No, is it gone? It's
no,
okay.
We were going to play my...
And you lose the game because you're a half-yard short!
People hear that and probably think you're yelling at your kid with that. That's what BK said to Luca when he was running around on the turf. That's my daughter.
That's me today, but somehow not on Saturday.
No, that was my daughter when Mickey Mouse fell out of the chair at church on Sunday.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll play a game of in or out. But next, why aren't the Blues' expected numbers matching up with what we're seeing? We're talking about that next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you missed it earlier today, we talked to Mike Kelly, NHL analyst for Fanduel Sports, and does a bunch of stuff for Sports Logic, which is an analytics site. And Alex, he told us, hey, the Blues' offensive numbers are kind of a middle-of-the-pack team, maybe a little bit better than that. And that's roughly where they rank right now when you look at their offense. But when you look at where they're at defensively, and more specifically, like expected goals allowed, they're elite in that area. One of the 3 or 5 best teams in the NHL at their goal suppression numbers. But then you look at the actual goals allowed so far on the season, they're one of the 3 worst in the NHL. And he said, hey, I think it's just as simple as they haven't had good goaltending so far this year. Some of it sure is bad puck luck, but a lot of it is the goaltending hasn't been good enough on the season. How do you view this, Alex? And do you think it is something that can and will get corrected?
I do, because I don't think Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer are this bad. Neither forgot how to play goalie. Jordan Binnington, I think, is a little bit more explainable because we've heard in the past that when Jordan Binnington gets overused, I don't want to say exhaustion, but fatigue sets in. The mental grind of it, the physical grind of it. And when fatigue sets in, you need a reset or your play starts to dip. We've seen this in years past, and I think that's very explainable as to now for the last couple of times we've seen Jordan Binnington, because mentally he has not had one game off since Calgary. Physically, he's had a couple of off, like Chicago, where he played 12 minutes. But mentally, man, some goalies would tell you that's even more exhausting because you're not checked into the game. Then you're checked into the game, and then you have to check back out to the game before you go in net again. So I think Binnington's explainable. Joel Hofer's the one that, man, it's just so odd. And I loved the stat that he brought up because the moment Mike Kelly said, screened goals versus unscreened goals. Yep. Man, if he said that, I'm like, yeah, the Blues are probably terrible in unscreened goals. Because screened, these goalies are locked in when they're making saves off of deflections or with 3 bodies in front of them. Hofer did it in Calgary. Binnington did it against Dallas. But you also know that sometimes that first goal is going to go in, and if that first goal goes in, it might rattle one of your goalies. So I don't know how to fix it because I'm not a goalie. I'm not a goalie coach. But I do know, and I can say positively, that it will get fixed because these goalies are just too good to just all of a sudden be 2 of the worst in the National Hockey League.
I think it all starts with Hofer. I know that sounds weird because Benner is your starter, but Hofer's struggles this season have a trickle-down effect of what we have seen from Jordan Binnington. I think Benner is just playing too much. He's played in every game other than that Calgary game so far this year. He's at least appeared at a minimum, and I think in 6 of the 8, he's played most of the game. That's not the way they want this to work. Maybe it's not going to be a full 50-50 split, but I think in an ideal scenario, you're looking at 50 to 55 games this year for Binnington, probably, and then about 30-ish for Joel Hofer. That is nowhere close to the split that we've seen so far this year, and it's because Hofer has been unplayable for the most part early this season. Once that changes and you get more rest for Benner, I think that changes a lot of what we have seen so far this year. So I like the fact that they're going to Joel Hofer tonight against Pittsburgh. I think it's the right move. And they need him to perform, man. It's not going to be easy because you're without Robert Thomas. You're without Jake Neighbors. Those are 2 of your best players. You've got Logan Mailloux back into the lineup tonight, which we'll see how that ends up going. But they need Joel Hofer to step up. And once that happens, I think you're going to start to see the defensive numbers tick up. So I'm not overly concerned about it. We mentioned this earlier today. Panic on a level of 1 to 10. You were at like a 2 or 3, Alex?
Yeah, 3.
Me and T-Bone both said we're at roughly a 5. Not overly concerned about it, but it's one of those things where it can get too far gone pretty quickly if you're not careful with it. It really starts with Joel Hofer for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I also think there is some bad puck luck that's gone against the Blues. And I don't think that's me being a homer take or anything. Go back to the Minnesota game that they lost 5-0 with Binnington and net. Man, 3 of those goals, if you look at where the puck bounced off of right to a Minnesota Wild player. Now, you could argue defensively, structurally, you left guys standing all by themselves. That's explainable. But goaltending-wise, man, it's like you see a couple of those there. When you see the Calgary game, the Vancouver game, Dallas, and even the LA Kings game, to me, those were the 4 that showcased you how good the goalies are. They make the timely saves when they do. One might get by, But the game that they lost against the LA Kings, man, you just had no offense in that game. It's the Chicago game, it's the Utah game, and that Detroit game. And I think Detroit was because Binnington was just overworked. And Chicago and Utah, to your point, man, that's Joel Hofer. You got to have your goalie. If Hofer makes that, let's say that Chicago Blackhawks game doesn't get out of hand, Joel Hofer plays that, and even if they lose, it's a good game by Hofer. Well, now you've rested Jordan Binnington for 4 days. He's playing the Dallas game. You're probably playing him or giving Hofer the game against the Kings because you feel a little bit more confident with Hofer. And now Binnington's playing against the Utah Mammoth, and the game's not getting out of hand. So I do think it's very explainable on the goaltending side. And again, some of this is just bad puck luck, and it just sometimes goes this way against you.
I know people are so annoyed by hearing that.
I know.
But it's true.
Know.
It's true.
Hockey's
it's
that way.
part of hockey. It's part of baseball. Really more so those two sports than most of the others that we cover regularly. But, man, sometimes if the puck takes a bad bounce and it goes off of somebody's skate, that's part of it. And so far this year, the Blues have, I think, been on the receiving end of a lot of that. I think eventually it's going to stop, but they've also got to create some of their own puck luck as well. Yep. When you're getting to the front of the net, it's more likely to go off of your skate, and they're losing so many of those battles in front of their net, especially the other night with Parayko and Fowler, and they're not getting to the other net. They were. That's what's so weird. Like, at the beginning of the game, the way that you got out to a 4-0 lead, you were finally at the front of the net. Booch, where did you score? Front of the net. Jake Neighbors, where are you scoring? The front of the net. There were times, Alex, on a couple of those goals, they had multiple bodies basically unchecked at the front of the Detroit net. And then it just stopped. It just disappeared. I don't understand.
That's the adversity, though. Because the moment that first goal went in against Detroit, the Blues got into the, okay, we can't let them score another one. And when you play that way, as Joey says, when you think you're dead in hockey, when you start thinking of, well, we can't let them back into this one, the second one happened. And then 27 seconds later, the third one happened. And then it's a down. You got to find a way, just like Utah did in that game, where the Blues pushed back. What did Clayton Keller do before the end of the second period? He basically said, nope, you're not coming back into this one. So, and I think T-Bone said this last week, like sometimes you got to create your own luck, and the luck goes your way when you're creating it. The Blues aren't doing that. And one more for you. I never thought I'd be hearing Splashback Deuce as the voice of reason, but he's right. Anyone looking for a simple answer isn't going to find it. This is a complex situation to where,
Absolutely.
Look, this is just a matter of things not looking right early on, and the Blues are trying to figure out what's not right, just like we're trying to figure out what's not right.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for In or Out here on BK and Ferrario.
BK, the NFL season is in full swing, and here in the state of Missouri, I love to play it with Underdog. And boy, has it made some of these games exciting, BK, because of the opportunities that Underdog provides. So every NFL game, I'm pulling up my app. First thing I do is I check for those bonus options. I got a 40% profit boost on this one for you tonight for Monday Night Football.
It's boost over.
It's Boo Stober, according to BK. I'm going higher on Kelsey receiving yards. I'm going higher on Kareem Hunt touchdowns, whether it's rush or receiving. And I'm going higher on Marcus Mariota passing yards. Those three, BK, 11 times odds.
Love that. That is Alex's play for tonight. You can do something as well. Playing on Underdog is incredibly easy. Choose whether your favorite players are going higher or lower on their stats. Get your entries right. You could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Alex, tonight is the sports equinox here in the United States. You got the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL all in action. So if you want to get your NFL picks, you can do that. Or one of the other sports as well. Hell, put one down on all of them over on the Underdog app today. Download the app today. Sign up using our promo code BKO. That's promo code BKO. You could score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BKO. Underdog. Make plays. Win money. Must be 18 or older. Present in Missouri. Terms to apply. See assets at underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Woo! 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on BK and Ferrario. Alex, I want to start out with the college football coaching conversation.
He's not going to be at Mizzou next year.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Sorry. Did I beat you to the punch there?
No, that's not what I was going to ask about.
Okay. Well, here, I'm listening.
It's kind of related. So, for those that haven't heard, LSU fired Brian Kelly over the weekend. I think it was probably the right decision, but still, $100 million has been spent on James Franklin and Brian Kelly to not coach for their respective programs, and both of them had a decent amount of success over the last few years.
You guys remember that Brian Kelly hire when he had that fake Louisiana accent that first day?
Yeah. It never made sense. No. I think he's a pretty good football coach. I think he's a pretty bad dude, but a good football coach, but it never made sense in the fit at LSU. I think Wisconsin should hire him or somebody in the Midwest. But anyways, in or out, both Florida and LSU fans will be underwhelmed by the hires that they make in this cycle.
I'd say in, because if you're one of those programs, you want a big name, and I don't think you're getting a big name in either of those schools. I think it's going to be somebody that's had success at a smaller school. But if you're a fan of Florida or LSU and you see success at a smaller program, it's like, yeah, but what does that matter? So I'll say in.
I think I'm going to say in as well, because I just don't know who you look at and say, yeah, that's the exciting hire for us. Like, if you hire Georgia Tech's coach, for example, I think that would get some fans excited because he's won big games. Now, granted, it's in the ACC, but I think he does have a winning record against top 25 teams. So that might get some fans excited. I just don't know that he's leaving because he's an alum of Georgia Tech. So, okay, so if you do hire Drinkowitz, so we just saw this weekend, Drinkowitz didn't get the job done against another top 25 opponent, top 10 opponent. Are you really going to feel like it's that much of an upgrade in your hire? I just don't know where they're going with these hires. So I'm going to say in. I don't think they're going to be impressed with who they hire.
I'm in as well. This is a weird cycle, man. Texas might come open, according to Diana Rossini. Sounds like Sark is interested in NFL games, but don't tell him that. He gets very upset when you ask him about it post-game. Man, we've already got Florida and Penn State and LSU open.
Auburn might open.
Arkansas is open. We'll see what happens at Wisconsin. There are a couple other schools that people seem to be keeping an eye on. It's like, a quarter of the SEC might come open this year. We'll see what happens at South Carolina and whether or not Beamer decides to potentially go to Virginia Tech. It's going to be a wild cycle. Worst case scenario for Mizzou is if Eli Drinkwitz leaves, because there are so many other schools that are potentially opening. And listen, I love Mizzou. That's my alma mater. It's not as good of a job as some of these other places, at least for a coach that's leaving their school to come to Mizzou. It's easier to sell to a guy that's already there and has built it up in Eli Drinkwitz. It's a little harder to sell on somebody that's coming from elsewhere to take your job over, LSU, Florida, etc. All right, Alex, what do you have for us today?
Guys, in or out, Logan Mailloux will play in the AHL before the end of November.
I hope this isn't the case, but I'll say in. I hope he figures it out. I hope he's awesome tonight. It's been bad.
I will say in as well, because I just don't know if he's going to be able to learn at the NHL level on the fly like this when you're trying to win hockey games and get into the playoffs. If this was the beginning of the retool, I could see how you do it. A lot of fans' expectations is that the retool is over because they got to the playoffs last year. So the pressure will continue to mount, and you can't be sitting him up in the press box. It's like what we would say with like Jordan Walker as a top prospect, right? Guy can't be sitting on the bench. He needs to be playing, and if he's not playing, he needs to go down to the minor league so he can play.
Yeah, it's the same thing they did with Jake Neighbors. It's the same thing they did with Zach Bolduc. They said, we just need you to get reps. And I will say in on this, and I don't believe this is a bad thing. I think this is a matter of like saying, hey, we need you to figure out who you are as a defenseman, because if you want to pinch, that's great, but you have to understand the responsibility on the other side. But we need you to be doing that style rather than playing like you're walking on eggshells, because every single time, like what I noticed about Kessel and Tucker in that last game is everything else flowed well. The forwards weren't worried about what the defenseman was doing. The goalie wasn't worried about the defenseman. And I'm not saying that's the case with Mailloux, but you start to think. And if you're thinking out there with your defenseman, that's not a good thing. So I hope it goes well. I hope this isn't the case and he starts to get it and build some confidence. But I do think that after a couple more games where it's just not trending right, they might say, look, we just need you to go get reps as a number one defenseman.
Guys, the Eagles, they looked fine over the weekend. Another good win for them. In or out, they are the best team in the NFC.
Out. Still think it's Detroit. It's either Detroit or the Rams now with this Rams trade. Because, I mean, you already had a top 10 defense and you just brought in a cornerback.
I think there's a top tier in the NFC is the way that I would put it, but I will answer the question, I promise. I think
I just tried to dodge the question.
I think it's the Rams, the Lions, the Packers, and the Eagles. Those are the top four teams in the NFC, and I think on any given day, any of them could win. If I'm going to pick one of them, I would go with the Rams. I trust them more than these other teams in the NFC right now.
Yeah.
So out.
I would say out as well. They just give off weird vibes still. Like the whole A.J. Brown situation of, is he going to be traded? Is he not going to be traded? Like, I lean towards not, but I don't know. I could kind of see a path where they decide to make that move kind of occur. I agree. I think it's probably the Rams.
All right, let's get to the text line, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Guys, in or out, the Blue Jays proved over the weekend that they have the offense to win this World Series.
Out. And anybody see game 2?
I mean,
looks good in game 1.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah. I mean, they proved they can. Proving you can versus actually following through is a very different conversation. So, I mean, Yamamoto just had filthy stuff.
It's ridiculous.
Some of the movement on those pitches, physically, it's not supposed to happen. So
he's every bit as good as he was hyped up to be. Yeah. It took him a year to get there, but he is now where everybody projected that he was going to be.
The Cardinals could have used Lars Nootbaar to get that pitcher.
I would say, I do think they have the offense to win this series. My problem is you've got Max Scherzer and Shane Bieber starting the next 2 games. They don't have the pitching to be able to keep up with the Dodgers, because on the other side of this thing, you've got Glasnow and Ohtani. Those are legit number one pitchers for most teams across Major League Baseball. So do they have the offense to get it done? Sure, but I don't think they will, because I don't think they have the pitching to be able to match it. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Okay, here we go. From the 314, Drinkwitz leaves Mizzou, and one of the recently fired coaches will be their hire.
I'm saying out. I don't think he leaves. Even with these are some good programs. If I'm Drinkwitz, I'm comfortable where I'm at, man. I run a program. I run a university. I run a city. I'm good where I'm at. I'm getting paid well. They've already told me that they'll pay me whatever they want to keep me. I'm good.
I'm out. I don't think Mizzou will hire a coach that got fired. I didn't
I took different paths on that one.
I didn't say if Drink would leave or not.
I agree with that one. I have no idea what's going to happen with Eli Drinkwitz, truly, but I don't think they're going to hire Brian Kelly, James Franklin, anything like that. I would be fascinated to see the coaching pool that they would look into. I hope we don't have to talk about it, but...
Oh, come on. Doesn't it just kind of feel interesting and fun?
No, it feels terrifying. I have no interest in going down that route. I think you have a good coach already. I think Drinkwitz is the guy that you want to be here. If they end up having to make that choice because he goes elsewhere, Willie Fritz would probably be my call. He's like 65 years old, so it's not a long-term answer necessarily, but... he's a really good football coach, man. He'd be the closest thing that you could hire to like a Kurt Signetti, where he just wins everywhere he's been. I think that would probably be the move that I would make if I'm Mizzou, but it's not going to get people overly excited because he's up there in age and, he's Houston's head coach. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Alex, in or out? Dalibor Dvorsky will be called up by the Blues before Thanksgiving.
Out.
I haven't checked in. How's he doing?
He's putting up points. I only hesitated because the minus numbers aren't going to be very good. If you look, I think he's a -4.
Okay.
But they've got terrible goaltending, and the Thunderbirds are dealing with some struggles on the goaltending side. So those numbers are swayed, but I don't think they're going to rush him up here.
3 goals, 5 points in 6 games, but he's a -4.
He scored 2 in his last 2 games. I think he's picked up 4 points in his last 2 games. The Blues basically said, we want him to dominate the AHL before he gets a chance. And I just don't think they're at a position to bring him up yet. They're going to go through this whole Texier, which, by the way, Joseph has been awesome. So Joseph deserves to stay in the lineup. But now you've got Toropchenko back. I know he's got these injuries. They're day-to-day. I think you're talking 20 to 30 games before they get to the point where they would look at Dvorsky as a call-up option.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that I am out on this. I think their first call-up, if they needed somebody, would be Stenberg, because Stenberg had such a good camp. Remember, they talked about, hey, we like what we see from him on a line. He's making guys better. He's probably their first call-up if necessary. Dvorsky, I think, would probably be second.
I think their first call-up's Matt Luff if they get to that point. It's a guy who's played the NHL, and they would bring up NHL experience in a team where they're trying to compete rather than bring up one of those younger guys.
I don't think he's going to be here, but I think it's also related to this. In or out, Lucic will still sign with the Blues.
Oh, in. My guess is we might hear something by the time they come back home. I'm not saying they need Lucic in there. I mean, it's going to take probably weeks of conditioning practices before you'd even get a chance to see him in the lineup. But, yeah, in.
He's not going to go. I don't think Texier has added anything.
Yeah, they're not going to go through this whole process with him and just say, okay, cool, thanks for business. They'll see it through.
He has a spot in the locker room, right? Doesn't he have a locker stall? Yeah, if that didn't tell you, somebody's going to be here.
Look, the one thing that we just heard Mike Kelly told us that the Blues have suffered from are just those tap-in goals. What Milan Lucic has made a career in, standing in front of the net and tap-in goals. So they could use some of that.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, we'll get to the rewind in 15 minutes. But next, the Cardinals might have missed their chance to trade Lars Nootbaar. We'll give you the latest update next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues will be back in action tonight as they visit the Pittsburgh Penguins. They'll be without Robert Thomas and Jake Neighbors as they are listed day to day. But Alexei Toropchenko will be returning to the St. Louis Blues lineup as Joel Hofer will get the start in between the pipes for the Blues tonight. Well, pregame coverage here on 101 ESPN starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Then puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
All right, Alex, so yesterday, Chaim Bloom went on KMOX for his weekly hit with them and gave an update on Lars Nootbaar, his injury, his timetable. Here's what he had to say.
I had to Google it myself a few weeks ago, so anybody who also had to do the same, unless they're an orthopedic surgeon, probably shouldn't feel that bad. It is something where this particular type of surgery, there's not a lot you can find as far as a track record within baseball players, although there have been some before. And there is an extensive track record of this in some other sports. So it's really something that the procedure itself at this point is pretty routine for a professional athlete. The timetable is really the biggest question mark in a sense, which is why we didn't put one out. But that said, this is something ultimately we hope this actually leads to be more of a solution for some of what has plagued Noot in terms of his running speed and just not being able to move around like he used to. Certainly at the outset, you got to make sure you're coming back from this right, and we don't want to rush the process at any point. But this is something where we've seen this a lot. You see offensive linemen get it. You see baseball players get it. You see basketball players get it. And there's a pretty well-worn path of coming back. We're definitely not wanting to rush this, but certainly optimistic with it. We have not ruled out opening day for him to be ready. I think if you ask him, he'll tell you he will be. We're going to make sure he gets the requisite spring training buildup. So if it gets into the season a little bit, we're prepared for that because we don't want to rush him. But we haven't ruled out him being ready at the outset, and I think he will tell you that he can.
Alex, my read on this, Lars Nootbaar is going to be a Cardinal in 2026.
Yeah, mine too.
I did not anticipate saying that today. My expectation 2 weeks ago was Lars Nootbaar will be somewhere else other than St. Louis in 2026. This injury changes everything. Right now, if you were to trade him, you're trading him coming off of his worst season of his major league career, and you're trading him coming off of both legs getting surgery at the end of the season without any certainty that he's going to be ready for opening day. If you take Chaim Bloom at his word, they believe this is going to help him. They believe getting this surgery now will allow for him to get back to some of his previous athletic peak. If that happens, he will be able to recoup some of that trade value, and he will become a better asset by the time that you get to next year's trade deadline or next offseason than he is today. And because of all of those things, Noot should probably be a Cardinal in 2026, and my belief as of today is that he will be. It does put the onus on some of these other players, like maybe Alec Burleson becomes trade bait. Maybe Brendan Donovan, despite his surgery as well, but that one seems like it's a little bit less uncertainty associated with it. Maybe he becomes an even bigger trade asset. Maybe Nolan Gorman is somebody that they seriously consider. Maybe they trade all of them. I don't know.
Or maybe they trade none of them.
But Noot is the guy that I would say, as of today, I am most certain will not be moved because of his lack of value on the market.
Yeah, and I mean, you could argue there wasn't really value before the injury because I was going to say that, why didn't you trade him at this year's deadline? Well, he was hurt in the beginning of July, and his numbers didn't really look well. So, I mean, this is just a tough break for the Cardinals because I think if he would have been healthy, he still probably would have been traded, even if his value was low. But yeah, now he comes back, and I don't know if he's a player for the Cardinals because I guess if they decide to trade Burleson, then yeah, Nootbaar's out there, and you do want to recoup some trade value, but I don't know if this is really going to do anything for his trade value in terms of he comes back and he's healthy on that front. I think people know what Lars Nootbaar is, and even if he's gotten this surgery, he's still a liability to stay healthy. He's unable to play a long season for you, and the bat just doesn't play, and I think that's what people would really want from an outfielder.
It has in the past, though. I mean, this was the first year where it really didn't play. His bat previously was good. I know it's not what people wanted it to be.
It was inconsistent, too, though.
I mean, pretty consistent by overall results. OPS by year, 740, 780, 780, 760.
Oh, no, what I mean is in season. Like inconsistent in season.
Sure, but teams are trading for him because of what they A lot of teams across Major League Baseball, if you told them right now, hey, I can give you an outfielder that you can expect a 340 on-base percentage from. He's going to be above average offensively. He's going to give you some level of athleticism on the base paths, and he's going to give you above average defense. Are you cool with that? He's 28 years old. It's going to come at $5 million. A lot of teams across Major League Baseball will be like, where do I sign up? That sounds awesome. That's not good enough for the Cardinals. They need more out of that spot in their lineup, and they have too many guys that profile this way. But you tell the Dodgers they could have this profile of player in their lineup, they'd love it. Tell the Phillies they could have this kind of bat in the middle of their, or at the top of their order, great. Yankees, awesome. Mets, fantastic. These teams all really need the supplementary bat. So this season, what he did this year, not good enough. What he has been for almost the entirety of his career, though, there's real value in that. Somebody on the text line said, and T-Bone, I'm curious your thoughts on the Noot situation. Could Noot be non-tendered at $5 million? Absolutely not. That'd be crazy. $5 million is still a bargain for even if he becomes a fourth outfielder for you. You're paying more than that on the open market for a fourth outfielder. So even if you think Lars Nootbaar is completely overrated, he's not a good player, whatever, Austin Hayes signed for $5 million last year. Harrison Bader, who I like, you guys know, but he signed for $6 million. Jesse Winker signed for $7 million. Max Kepler signed for $10 million last year.
That was an overpay.
Yeah, Lars Nootbaar would absolutely get snatched up elsewhere for more than that. So yeah, there's no reason to non-tender him. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, you don't non-tender him because, one, it's the first time that this has happened, that he's had the bad year, right? This isn't a guy that we're talking about that was like O'Neill-esque, who had 4 bad years before he finally clicked. He's been really good, above league average every year. I mean, you mentioned his high on base. A lot of teams would take that for the top of their order. But yeah, I think with this injury, and I said at the time when they announced the injury, because one that frankly I hadn't heard any baseball player getting before, it felt like he was going to be back because you're not selling him when he's low. Now the question becomes, what do they do in the outfield now? Because they are saying we're going to give this opportunity to Jordan Walker again, and it's the last ride with him. Okay, so that spot is taken. I don't think you're having Noot get the surgery and then throwing him out into center field, so Scott is going to be your center fielder still. And then you look in left field and go, okay, is that where you're putting Alec Burleson? Okay, but if I'm keeping Lars Nootbaar, then what are we doing? Because it's going to be hard for him to recoup the value that you're talking about back if he's going to be a fourth outfielder. He almost has to be playing every day to get that back.
And if you decide that,
you have to move
Alec Burleson has to be at DH potentially. But if Alec Burleson is your DH, then Ivan Herrera can't be at DH, which means that he's back behind the plate regularly. And now, if you got all of that stuff happening, what's going on at second and third between Donnie, Gorman, and potentially J.J. Weatherholt? And Sajasi, who's also here still. There's just too many players for too few spots. So somebody, probably multiple somebodies have to go, which is why I still think they're going to make multiple trades. I don't think this means that you're not doing anything in the offseason. It just means it might look different than what we expected it to be. And you might have missed an opportunity at the deadline to trade him. I still think they should have dealt him at the deadline.
I think it should have been last offseason going into the year where you make that move.
He was injured at the deadline, though.
At that point, I think he was playing again, but either way, I still would have moved him.
Assignment,
at that point, we didn't know he needed this.
Yeah.
You know, that was he's banged up, but he could potentially still play for somebody down the stretch. We said at the time I would have moved him. I couldn't believe that they moved none of their left-handed bats.
Maybe last offseason you could have argued, but at that time, I guess. I mean, that's where I would have been much more aggressive if I would have been looking a couple of years down the road, seeing where the Cardinals were. I would have been realistic and said, let's just start moving some of these guys because we've got a while to get there.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. Rewind is coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care have been making people comfortable since 1926, and the furnaces are all turning on. Now, I had the conversation with a couple of buddies who said, yep, I finally broke and I had to turn the heater on. So with them turning on, the fall, getting into winter, that means you got to get that annual maintenance before it gets too deep into the winter season because, you know, that unit's been turned off for a while. It hasn't worked since last winter, and you got to make sure all the kinks are worked out before you really start using it and relying heavily on it. That's where that annual maintenance agreement comes into play with Classic Air Care. Twice a year, they come out the fall, the spring, check the unit, clean the unit, fine-tune it, make sure everything's good to go. And here's the best part. You're on that maintenance agreement when you sign up, and if there's any issues in the winter when it's freezing cold outside, you call Classic Air Care. You get priority scheduling because you're a part of that maintenance agreement. You don't have to wait long. They got 100 vans out on the road. They're going to be getting back to you within 24 hours. They're open 7 days a week. They have after-hour techs that are on call, and these technicians that come out, 30-plus years of experience, they know what they're talking about. Call them today. Schedule online. Schedule that maintenance agreement. Tune up to your HVAC system, and just tell them Alex Ferrario sent you at Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, or the free 101 ESPN app. It's always sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
It's 1:53. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Alex, Blues lose over the weekend. They go up 4-0, find a way to lose 6-4. Thomas and Neighbors both out tonight. It'll be Joel Hofer back in net for the Blues. Pre-game coverage for Blues versus the Penguins starts at 5 right here on 101 ESPN. What are you looking for in this game?
Well, one is going to be a 60-minute game. Obviously, they didn't play 60 minutes in that game against Detroit, and that's really what's going to hold this Blues team to getting back to the standards that they have for themselves, is can you get through a hockey game playing the same style from start to finish? It's not an easy brand of hockey to play, but when you go to the other route of just thinking, like, let's just push the puck down and we'll get out of this, it's going to bite you, and it did in Detroit. And then also I'm going to be watching Hofer. They need Joel Hofer to get right, because without Joel Hofer, you're overworking Jordan Binnington, and that's not good for you, and you've got nothing in your system beyond those two. So those are the two areas I'm focused in on tonight.
Alex says pregame starting at 5. Major League Baseball World Series back in action this evening. It's tied up at 1. This is what we were hoping for. Just get one early on if you're Toronto. They were able to do that in Game 1, and then Game 2, Yamamoto goes out there and throws a complete game. Max Scherzer on the mound for Toronto. He'll be opposed by Tyler Glasnow for the Dodgers. I've got the Dodgers in this one. I think the pitching is going to be where it's ultimately decided. I've got the Dodgers winning each of the next 2 because of the pitching. Alex, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think they get the next 2, and then Toronto probably wins Game 5, and then it's over in Game 6.
T-Bone?
I think they lose tonight. I think Bieber will have a good outing tomorrow for some reason. I don't know why I've got that feeling. It's
perform for his next team.
Yeah, exactly. I think they split the next 2, but the Dodgers will take 2 of 3 here in L.A.
Monday Night Football tonight, Chiefs versus the Commanders. The spread has gone down. Chiefs were an 11.5-point favorite earlier today. That's gone down to 9.5. They're going to be without their starting right guard, it seems like, with Trey Smith expected to miss this game. The Commanders without their starting quarterback, but they get their pass catchers back with Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin back in play. I think the Chiefs win this one. I do think that the Commanders will ultimately cover this.
You want to try and sell them the crap that you tried to sell Donnie earlier today?
Chiefs never beat Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, and Donnie looked at him like, will you just stop?
I had the same reaction to that when I said, well, Wentz is undefeated.
Chiefs win, Chiefs cover.
Yeah, I agree. Chiefs will take care of
Washington's not going to be able to stop the Chiefs. Yeah, Washington's not going to be able to stop the Chiefs.
I will tune into this game when the Blues are at intermission, while I have Ferrario on in my AirPods.
And finally, on the college football side of things, T-Bone, your Illini lost over the weekend. How you feeling?
Not great. The season was a failure. They're not going to be in the playoff. Their defense sucks, and that's the whole reason that's happening.
Missouri lost this weekend as well. I was frustrated by it. I was more frustrated today than I was on Saturday, honestly, as I was going back through and thinking about all of the things that had to go wrong for them to lose this football game. God, they were inches away multiple times.
Here we go.
From beating a top 10 team in the country.
Hey, easy. Fast lane starts at 2.
It's incredibly frustrating. If you want to hear my full rant on that, you can check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, the free 101 ESPN app. That is where you can go to find it. I certainly had some thoughts, as you did imagine. We will talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. You'll hear more from Alex coming up at 5 o'clock for the pregame show. Blues versus Penguins tonight, right here on 101 ESPN. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN. And you lose the game because you're a half-yard short!